Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning. Well, the rumors are flying hot and heavy right now. There are so many names. James Harden to the Cavs. How about Giannis to the Warriors, except maybe it's the Wolves and maybe it's the Knicks, and wait, look out for Miami. We're going to talk with Brian Geltzeiler about all this later this morning, see what he really believes is going on. Of course, it's hard to know because whatever's about to happen, it's especially with Giannis, feels just like a poker game, you know? So if somebody raises, it could be Team A, but if Team B ups the ante with one more draft pick, what happens then? So, hey, the Bucks, they're not going to be in this position very often. They might as well get as much as they can. So let the poker game continue. Also, your Utah Mammoth had to win. They'd lost back-to-back games. They had the worst team in the NHL coming in Vancouver. They had to win, and they did win. 6-2 the final score. Nick Schmaltz with a hat trick, goals number 20, 21, and 22 on the season for him. Peterka also got his 20th goal. Looks like both these guys will probably get to 30. And 2 points that the Mammoth really needed to have. They got one more game Wednesday night, and then it's into a 3-week break for the Olympic Games. Right now, let's get to the best of the post-game show as the Utah Mammoth pick up the win at home over Vancouver.
DJ and PK, a 6-2 victory for the Utah Mammoth on Monday night at the Delta Center on a hat trick at a 4-point evening for Nick Schmaltz. John Marino with 3 assists. Karel Vejmelka, his league-leading 26th victory of the season for Utah, who moved back into that top wildcard spot in the Western Conference. They're now 29-23-4 on the year, 16-8-2 at the Delta Center, and 7-1-1 in their last 9 home games here in downtown Salt Lake City. It was a contest where they went shorthanded early, but 10 seconds after the penalty expired, Nick Schmaltz started his big night for the Mammoth.
Here comes Schmaltz with McBain and Marino. Back for Marino. In front, tapped in, and they score! Special delivery from John Marino to Nick Schmaltz, and it's 1-0.
Vancouver got one back to tie us at 1 just 3 minutes and 30 seconds later. Still early in the first period, the Mammoth had take a 2-1 lead. Another goal by Schmaltz 33 seconds after the Vancouver equalizer.
But he's back in the goal column. Schmaltz in front, shoots and scores again. Nick Schmaltz has 2 tonight. Oh, you're killing me, Schmaltz.
It was a 2-1 game for 21 minutes and 8 seconds of game time as the Canucks hung around, but Utah got the power play going 16 seconds into their second 5-on-4 of the night. Mikhail Sergachev made it 3-1.
Sergachev loads up and scores! That was a rocket from Mikhail Sergachev.
And then 3 minutes and 31 seconds later, Utah would make it 4-1. Lawson Krause out in front for the Mammoth.
Pass across Marino, towards the front, tipped in, and they score! John Marino just chucked it in front. It took a Mammoth bounce, and it's 4-1. Lawson Krause got his boot on it.
Utah would cap off 3 goals in 7 minutes and 20 seconds to break it wide open. A 5-1 lead on J.J. Peterka's 20th.
Peterka locates it, flings it towards the net. Rebound for Yamamoto, trying to dangle it in. Back across, one-timer, they score! J.J. Peterka has goal number 20 on the year.
Canucks got one back, and in the third period, Nick Schmaltz had finished off the hat trick. His 22nd of the year. Clayton Keller found him for that.
Brought ahead by Keller. Utah numbers ahead. Keller and Schmaltz. Schmaltz shoots and scores! Another hattie for Nick Schmaltz. Send him! 6-2, and Nick Schmaltz has his second hat trick of the season here at the Delta Center.
So the line of Lawson Krause, Clayton Keller, and Nick Schmaltz combining for 4 goals and 4 assists in the contest for Utah on a nice way to get the week started. A short week for Utah, just 2 games before going into the Olympic break. They'll host the Detroit Red Wings on Wednesday night at the Delta Center. Let's hear what Nick Schmaltz thought after that big one for Utah.
How does this team feed off energy when things are going well and things are going the way you want them to go in a game? Yeah, I think over the last month or so we've been playing some good hockey and slipped a couple games in a row there, so we want to get back on track tonight. We knew this was a big game for us. Standings are super tight, so it was a huge win for us on home ice.
What was working for you tonight to be able to get your second career hat trick, or second hat trick this season?
Yeah, I think a lot of great plays by some guys finding me, and fortunate bounce on one of them, but super excited to get a hat trick and help the team win.
John Marino, your teammate, just set a new career high in points. For him, what impact has he had, not only defensively but offensively this season?
Yeah, he's a great player. I think he's very underrated. He's got a lot of plays with the puck. He waits off defenders and makes a lot of good plays in the middle of the ice, and super great player, so I'm very happy to see him have success.
Lots of success for the special teams tonight on both sides of the puck. What went right today?
I think PK, we did a good job pressuring. I think we talked about that going into the game. We wanted to make them execute plays and be all over them. And if we got to make 3 good plays to get a chance against us, and then power play, I think just shooting mentality. Sergey's got a great shot, and it's huge for our power play. We got to be better if we want to go anywhere here.
Mikhail Sergachev became the 14th Utah skater with a game-winning goal this season, as that power play goal in the second was Utah's 3rd goal. Vancouver only got to 2 in the game, so Sergachev gets the game winner, and we heard from him post-game.
Just in terms of this team's ability to accomplish what you guys wanted to accomplish, maybe check the boxes, what do you feel like your group was able to do tonight?
Definitely score goals. We still got a lot of things to improve on with our consistency for sure. We didn't do a good job tonight. We got to be better in the neutral zone, defending and with the puck. So and sometimes we're just messing around with it too much in the O zone, and instead of just pounding the puck and going to get rebounds.
We know this is not an individual game, but when an individual on the team has a good performance or has confidence, how does that spread around the group?
It's obviously great to see when Schmaltz gets 5. It's a big night, and we're all happy for him. And Johnny too. He's got, I think, 3 points. It's big, and it shows that guys can make plays and create and finish. So we need more of that for sure.
Head coach Andre Cherney happy with the way his team bounced back. They only lost by a goal on Saturday, but as you heard, didn't really think they did anything well as a team or individually, but Bear was much happier after the contest on Monday night.
Even on the first power play, the way we attack, we had the intensity, we recovered those pucks. So I like our special team. We were really opportunistic. We found a way to score a big goal at key moment early in the game and throughout the game. So that's what I think of the game.
2 players that stood out, Schmaltzy and Marino, both with big nights. Marino, new career high in points. Schmaltzy with his 2nd hat trick this season. What was working for both of them on both sides of the puck?
I think Schmaltzy was really good everywhere. He was good defensively, his trip puck, his body position was good. I like this game a lot. Marines as well. I think Marines was solid in his game. His puck decision was good, and obviously made really good play, produce, and all of it.
We talked a lot about assertiveness earlier today. What areas do you feel like that elevated more than normal?
That's a good question. I think we played good at the beginning of the game. I think we played solid. When we score a few goals, we'll be honest, not sure we played as good from the 5th minute or 4 minutes something in the second. We had a tough time to finish the period and had a tough start of the 3rd, but after we played good. Most of the game we played good. It's just we had little spots. So I think we were confident offensively, and like I said, we scored a big goal at key moment. We didn't have a lot of volume, but we had quality chances.
How did you like the way that your team played with the lead tonight versus what they did in Carolina? How they played in the lead that game?
There's a difference, though, having a 1 or 2 goal lead or having a 4 goal lead. So I don't think we were the stingiest team with the lead, but I think the PK was solid with the lead, and I think we did what we had to do to win the game. I don't think it's I have a tough time to evaluate it on the same way than the Carolina game or the Florida game, where the game is on the line. You play with a lot of pressure when you lead by 4. It's not the same urgency. It's not the same decision, unfortunately.
A lot of players have said that they needed to simplify the game in terms of approaching the power play. Do you feel like they were able to do that time?
How can I say? Our power play, I think at some point you need to hit rock bottom, because the message has been the same for a long time. But at some point, when you hit rock bottom, you kind of realize, it's true. We need to change something. And I think I had a great meeting yesterday. The practice this morning was okay. Right away I felt okay. Now there's a change of attitude. There's a change in the way we want to do things, and there were maybe a little bit of change in the accountability of what we want as well. But I think the guys really own it, took charge, and we were flying in the morning skate on the power play, and I think it translated tonight when the game started. We won the first draw, and right away we attacked. We have a great one-timer, recovered a loose puck. Right away we were in. We could see it. We meant business. So it was not about how long we will have the puck. It will be where we're attacking here tonight, and it worked. Now we need to build off it.
So the Mammoth now 11-4-1 since the start of 2026. And again, a big one with Detroit on Wednesday. They shut out the Colorado Avalanche to open their road trip on Monday night. They're in second place in the Atlantic Division. Utah beat them in Detroit 4-1 in December. But Colorado also beat them 5-0 on Saturday in Detroit, and they spun back to Denver and beat the Avs 2-0. So big one coming up with Detroit, looking for the series sweep, as the Red Wings will look for another split after losing a home game to a Western Conference opponent. We'll have more on this one and looking ahead to Detroit on Wednesday on Mammoth Daily. It's a Tuesday mailbag edition, and Michael will have a really interesting comparison for you with Daniil Boot and another player or two when they were in his shoes last year and in previous years for the Utah prospect who did not play in the contest on Monday. It's all coming up on Mammoth Daily, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus, and SCG Plus. And we're back on the radio with Hockey Night in Utah coming up on Wednesday, 6 o'clock. We'll take on Detroit. It'll be a 7 p.m. face-off. We'll have it for you all right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, there's the best of the postgame show. When we come back, the Utah Jazz get snubbed. No NBA All-Stars. Not all that surprising in my book. We will get to that next. And then Steve Cleveland talking BYU hoops. What can be done to turn things around? That's coming up. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The All-Star teams are out, PK.
Yeah, all right.
No All-Star for Keontae George and Lauri Markkanen. Did they deserve to make it? Tony says, short answer, yes. But it's more about what sells tickets and gets people to watch, even if it's going to be the worst basketball ever played.
I don't think that's it.
I think it's the fact that the Utah Jazz have not won very many games this year.
I think that's it for guys like LeBron. But the Aviata kid from Portland, I don't think that's it. They've had a better season. And I would be okay with Markkanen making it on one condition.
And what is that?
That they list Lauri Markkanen in the box score and then in parentheses, rest.
Nice. Go to the All-Star game, put your feet up. Made it? Here's your bonus. Most guys have something built in, right? Here's your bonus. Now.
He's missed 14 games.
Take it easy.
He's on track. Well, when they get good, and I believe it's a when, not an if, he's going to have the freshest legs of anybody relative to his age.
Talked to Locke about that whole minutes thing. 25,000, 30,000, 35,000 minutes where you start to run down.
He sits out a lot.
He's not piling up the minutes.
Yeah. And I think for these guys, since the future is going to be good at some point here, hopefully sooner rather than later, to make sure they're at the premium condition ready to go when it is go time to win, I think they need to have lazy boys along the sidelines.
Just feet up.
Yeah.
Can't get out of the way if someone comes crashing into you.
And then they have one of those people dressed in the waitress gear and come and
Bringing them
a drink.
beverages and stuff. They come over to the big old tray. There's a Gatorade bottle on it.
Yeah. And then you see, have some vegetables, carrots and stuff. So, eating healthy. Make a mockery of it. They're sort of, not they exclusively, but the system is made a mockery of. So extend it even beyond that.
Thomas is with you. He says, honestly, Lowry's has missed too many games, and now they're taking turns playing and, quote, resting. So Thomas isn't upset by the lack of all-star berths at all.
I think the most important thing is that you can argue strongly that both of these guys, when they play, are all-star caliber. And that bodes well for the franchise. I mean, Jamal Murray didn't make it until this year.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say he's been all-star caliber for a long time, including when he was clutch when they won a championship.
Right.
And for whatever reason, didn't pick him till this year. But be all-star caliber.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Whether somebody votes you or there's a popularity contest. Didn't Yao Ming was dominating every year?
Because everybody in China voted, yeah. He's in.
Yeah. Right, and he was a fine player.
Fortunately, he was a really good player when he was healthy. He had some health issues. But when he was healthy, so it didn't make a big mockery of it. But it was comical to see how many votes he got.
Right. Right, and they're voting for one of their own, so be it. But I think the most important thing is that they're having outstanding seasons. Marketing, you can argue, is having the best season. He's just, the situation is never going to allow him to be anything close to an Iron Man. Because they're going to sit him as much as because he gets in the way of losing.
I do think because you and I have talked about this both on the air and off the air. I think the interesting thing will be. I mean, I don't think he's missed all these games these last 4 years because he's injury prone and been hurt. I think it's clearly been engineered, and yet at the same time, he's never played a full season. So will his body hold up? And we've seen a lot of bigger guys have injuries. Will his body hold up to the pounding? And it'll be interesting when they're trying to win what they consider a full season because even on winning teams, guys still get rested. So I don't think they're ever going to ask him to play 82 games. I don't know if they're going to ask him to play 75.
Well, the most he ever played was his rookie year, 68.
Right. He's never been a 70-game guy.
I mean, last year was an absolute joke, 47.
Yeah. Where's he going to end up this year? Closer to 47 than 66 or 68.
Well, playing 36, that would mean 11 away. And what have they got, 30 games to go? Or 32 games?
Yeah.
They're right at the 50 mark.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he plays half of them.
So how many has he played already?
He's played 36.
Okay. So he gets to 52.
So he's missed 14 because they're right at the 50 mark.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll see. It will be interesting to see if his body really does hold up. And what they consider full-time as far as, limiting minutes in a game.
Certainly it holds up in the international competition.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the NBA,
Right.
and it's not all this travel, and it's not a slew of games
Right.
for a long period
You tend
of time.
to go somewhere and then play in that city for
Yeah.
these international tournaments.
Right, and there's a bunch of games, but it's compacted.
Mm-hmm. And they're 40-minute games, not 48.
An NBA season is forever. But they're going to need him.
Yeah.
He's going to have to stop with these in the 60s. You're going to have to get in the 70s. For him to do what he's capable of doing, which is play at an extremely high level, and for the team to get where it wants to go, he's going to have to play. And it's just going to have to. And no more of this sickness and illness and rest. And a lot of it is the situation. But my feeling is, maybe it's just more of a feeling because I don't really have much of a track record to go on, is that he's going to play in his 70s.
I hope so.
Because in today's world, that's about all you can ask.
75 is the new 82?
I would say 70. Yeah. And I just called up his thing, his career, and was 1920. So he goes 68 his first season, which is 17-18, and then it drops down to 51, 50, 26.
So the 51 was there was a significant injury there. That was a full season. The next 2 years weren't full seasons. They were the COVID impacted ones. And I don't think they played 82 coming out of it when they had to start the season late. I know they didn't play 82 when they went to the bubble.
Okay, but then 21-22 is back to 61.
Yes.
First season here, 66. Second season, 55. Third season, 47.
I know.
Those are full seasons.
Yep. So that comes back to the question. There were injuries early. Will there be an injury when they try to play him full time? Or is this sitting him on purpose, protected him from that because his body gets more rest because they're just naturally we might win tonight?
I don't know. What makes him so different from the other guys when they were playing 82?
I mean, some of the other big guys do break down. I mean, some big guys do, some don't. But
yeah, but I mean, he's big in height.
I know. He's not as thick as, say, Embiid.
He's
Embiid's
not demanding the ball in the low post.
Embiid and Zion are carrying more weight. And that's more force on the joints with every, trip up and down the court.
And he's essentially a perimeter player.
They put him inside a little more, but playing inside even now doesn't mean what it used to mean. There aren't as many bodies.
And George, you'd have to think at some point the answer is going to be yes. Right now, the answer is going to be yes. He will be on an all-star team. Now, I can hear all the cynics. Sure, in 5 years, he'll be on the Eastern Conference all-star team.
There are the cynics.
But I'm not going to go down that road.
Not for 5 years. We'll see when we get there. Don't borrow trouble from the future.
Well,
it may well be out there. Who the heck knows?
I'm going to
believe there's no point in worrying about that now.
That Keontae George is going to be fine here. Until I see and hear otherwise, that he's going to recognize I'm playing in a first-class organization with an excellent coach, and they're providing me with everything I need, and I'm making enormous money. And he's from Texas, right?
He is.
And so they got a guy who's around the team. I don't know if he has a formal spot, but he's from Texas. And he wanted out.
Referring to D. Will.
And so, hey, kid, come over here.
Let me explain something to you.
Yeah.
Here's how it is around the lake.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, go talk to that guy. And then go talk to Boozer.
We're Texas guys here.
Yeah.
And so I know what you're going through because I went through it myself. And don't mess with good, man. And if you got a good thing going, and maybe I'll be proved wrong, which won't be the last time, but I'm going to freaking believe that he's going to see all things and realize this is a good spot to be in, and we're winning. And I want to be a legend for somebody. And you can, and unless you're LeBron, you can bounce around. But how many of those guys can really bounce around and be? Is Kevin Durant?
I was about to bring him up.
A legend? Is Russell Westbrook going to be a legend? Who's he going to be with? What is your identifiable team?
I think Durant is big enough to be a legend of the game, but I don't think he's a legend in any city he played in.
Right.
Which is two different things. Where when you walk into a building, the place goes wild, which we've seen with, I don't even know how many Jazz players. There's just so many. And a lot of them who didn't play their whole career here.
No, I don't think you have to.
Get very warm welcomes.
But when you're going at your best, unless they don't want you, college baseball starts up in a couple of weeks, right? I think softball starts coming up a week earlier, right? It's right around the corner. And so yesterday they had a softball game involving some Arizona State alumni.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a lot of guys in the pros, obviously. And then they had some celebs. You know who got the biggest roar?
Who?
You know.
Barry Bonds.
He wasn't there. Cam Scatterbo.
Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't know they brought back all sports for the baseball. I thought it was.
It's some celebs.
Okay.
Beyond the.
Yeah.
And so he is recovering from the surgery. He played second base. I saw a video of him, fielded it flawlessly.
Because he's an athlete.
But he didn't run. Mm-hmm. So he'd hit, and then the guy would run. Right? Well, one time the guy didn't have to run because Scatterbo hit it over the fence.
T-ball for him.
But wouldn't you want to be that?
Have the place where you go back and they cheer you.
Yeah, forever. Forever. And you're going to go chase something that you already got?
Well, a lot of people have done it.
Does that make any sense?
It didn't it didn't to me at the time, but you also could feel like this is going to happen, because you and I could sit here being much older, right, and think, don't do it. This is good. And yet, multiple players.
But I believe in the sophistication of today's athlete.
There's no doubt about it. And I think that, and I've had a couple people say this to me too, they're not only more sophisticated from a business sense, they're more emotionally sophisticated than we were at that age. And
I believe it.
They're forced to grow up. The professional system gets them for sure somewhere around 12, 14, certainly by 16. But depending on who you are and how you develop, it gets you before that. So there's just a certain amount of savvy. You've been around and been through it, and you've changed teams, and you played for different people, and you've had to make friends with new guys on the team who you didn't know when you walked into the gym because you're changing AAU teams and you're going to international tournaments. Yeah, it's a different deal.
That's why amid all the constant losing and the multiple year constant losing, I think there's a foundation. To what degree can be competitive remains to be seen. But I think they already have a foundation that allows them to be plus 500. And I'm one of these guys.
So now I hear Tim Lacombe saying, so you agree with me?
Well, I'm not saying necessarily next season.
Okay. Because you're going down the road, Tim goes. He says,
and I'm fine going down that road.
Tim's like, there's stuff in place here that isn't completely obvious.
Right. I agree.
And I was up there the other night talking about the lack of defense in whatever game it was. It was atrocious. And he's like, when you make a meeting optional just to turn it into the workplace, don't 80 or 90% of the people not show up? It was optional. He says, well, they're trying to lose, and defense becomes optional. You think guys are really going to lay it on the line? Now, they have a couple of dreadful performances, and the coaches make a bigger issue of it, and we see Bryce Sensabaugh, who is not the best defender on the team and is not the second best defender, is not the third best, but he gave up his body and got run over and took a charge.
And before we go to break, let me say, in my work world, for me, nothing was ever optional.
And that's why you're the 10 or 20%.
Nothing.
But have you ever been to meetings that you went to, even though it wasn't convenient? And don't lie, because I know the answer to this question. And then you look up and you're like, wait, so-and-so isn't here.
Yeah,
so-and-so isn't there.
We had a teams meeting and some of us had already known, I'd already known, to tell us about Hans leaving. You and I were on the call. Do you know anybody who wasn't, Yak?
Yeah, certain.
I'm just saying. Hey. Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah.
Sniggledorf.
Quote unquote, our leader.
Oh, now it's quote unquote. Okay.
Yeah, it is quote unquote. Depends on what's useful in the moment, Yak.
You and me, we were there.
We were there.
Yeah.
Bright and early.
No, I'm not going to lie. I did think we were getting punked originally, but that's a story for another day.
What do you mean we're getting punked?
They're like, hey, Hans Olsen is leaving. I thought it was just a punchline to kind of open the meeting.
Did? Oh.
I'm not going to lie.
You were waiting for the joke?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, they're serious.
And nobody's actually laughing. Oh, wait. Anyways.
Now, he didn't need to be there because I already told him.
Well, you should have told me. Come on now.
Well, I was told not to tell.
So I'm
going to tell one person.
But this dude's a steel trap.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
I trust him with my life when it comes to that.
No, I agree with you on that.
Thanks to my grandmother for teaching me a lesson when I was 4. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Steve Cleveland talking BYU hoops next, right here on the Zone. DJ, PK, it's time to welcome in Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach. Steve, good morning.
Morning, fellas.
Steve, why so many slow starts? The question on the lips of thousands of BYU fans. So many bad first half, so many good second halves, and if they're playing a ranked team, they don't quite get over the hump. If they're playing a team that isn't quite that good, they usually do rally and win. But why do people have to watch 10 or 15 or 20 minutes of losing basketball? What's going on?
All right, let's look at some positives here.
Okay.
So, I think we, I know as a coach, just having that experience for 35 years, there were nights when we got off to slow starts, and it made it very difficult. The one thing about BYU that is a positive thing is that they've come back in games that were looking like blowouts, and they've made them really meaningful games. Unfortunately, whether you lose by 1 or 31, it doesn't matter. Losing is losing, but this team has to. They've got to have better first halves, number one, and number two, they've got to defend in times when it's really needed to get a stop. And I think as I've watched these games, and I'm listen, I coached long enough to know that as a coach, you try a lot of different things, and you try to put yourself in a position where you can win basketball games. But I think the slow starts and then just amazing second halves. But by the time, what happens is that you've got to spend all that energy and go through that whole process, and all of a sudden you've had to get after it, and your legs, you lose a little bit of your legs. You get a situation where teams that you're playing at home or on the road, you've got to be able to be more consistent defensively, I think, and getting stops early on, not getting down big, and then fighting back. And there's a lot. This team has a lot of heart, and they're competitive, but they're just putting themselves in holes that it's hard to get out of because you're playing good teams. I mean, you're playing there. They played Arizona close to the 3-point loss. They had to go to Kansas, which we'll talk about in a minute, but for a team that's 14th ranked, boy, they really looked a lot better, and Peterson was the real deal for the half that he played.
I'm wondering, is Kevin Young thinking about or actually saying the words that church leader accused you of saying after you won your first conference title when you were in high school and he called you into his office?
Do we really want to go there?
I'm reading the book.
Hey, listen, first and foremost, I'll let you know I've been to enough practices and watched Kevin and his staff. But listen, it's part of the process. And you do get angry and you do get upset. And I think the thing is that when I had issues like this when I was playing, or not when I was playing, when I was coaching, I felt like the most important thing that I could do was to be honest with them. And if it needed to be said, I said it. I've always tried to watch my language and try to be as appropriate as I can. But sometimes it just drives you nuts when these things are happening.
It consumes you.
Yeah, and so I just think that you get your group together. I had enough team meetings when guys weren't playing well in a half, or guys hadn't been playing well for 2 or 3 weeks, that you hold the people accountable. And I can't imagine Coach Young, he'll probably start with himself and his staff, is that we need to do a better job. And number two, that, hey, you know what? If AJ's not playing well, or Saunders isn't playing well, or whoever it might be, right? You have to be honest with the guys, because your teammates, if they watch, your teammates watch the best players in a position where they're not acting accountable, or that maybe the coaching staff's not taking the time to make sure everybody knows who's accountable here, then you have problems. I don't think we have that problem. I just think it's time that, Coach Young and his staff have to make it really clear about what it takes to win close games on the road. And I was shocked how good Peterson was. And I'd seen him play a little bit, but he's been hurt so much, it's hard to see him play. And but those were deep threes. And I mean, his stroke was so good and so confident. And the fact that he didn't even play in the second half has to upset a coaching staff and a team that says he didn't even play the last 20 minutes. And that is something that I would bring the attention. And listen, Coach Young and his staff are outstanding, and I'm absolutely certain they made it very clear that we got to be better in the beginning, and we got to be definitely better at the end.
I'm curious how you see these poor starts. Is it some type of scheme thing they're not ready for? I don't think it's that, but I've wondered. To me, I think it's more an energy and focus problem. And it seems like when they get down, they really get locked in and really go. I don't know why they don't get locked in earlier. How do you see it?
I think there are two things. The coaching staff has a responsibility and a role there. They know that, and I'm sure they've talked about it. I think the other thing is, where is the leadership on this team coming from? And you hear all the naysayers out there, and I don't listen to that junk. But I think right now it's maybe time for a players' meeting. Maybe a time that Richie Saunders, who is the heart and soul of this team and has been in this program for a long time, that he gathers the guys together without the coaches. Maybe not, they don't even know about it. I mean, I did that as a player. I remember as a coach, there were times when the leadership of that team, all of a sudden they're having their own private meeting. And it's not about pointing fingers. It's about we got to be more accountable to each other. And I don't think this is about AJ. In fact, AJ's a young player. He's doing what he needs to be doing. He had a challenging time against Arizona. He wasn't able to hit the three. I think he was 1 for 8. And but he came back, had 17, 1 and 2, but he only having 1 rebound. And so, but it can't be just about AJ. I mean, yes, I think when your best player is not performing maybe as he'd like, or the coaching staff or the players, it's really important that everybody be accountable, not just an AJ or a Keita or a Saunders, but everyone. And when you start looking at the numbers, you realize that this team, they need their own team meeting. They need to look at each other and talk to each other. And the really good teams that I coached, they were leader-led teams. And that's when you turn a corner here. And I believe that's what they will do. And I think anytime you go through a time where you lose a couple of games, and hey, it's tough. I mean, I had no idea how good some of these teams were. And I think you're looking at, I think they have 6 ranked teams right now in the Big 12. And, you're playing Oklahoma State, but I went through, just looking at the numbers and looking at Oklahoma State and remembering the tradition of Oklahoma State. Man, you can't look past anybody. And it's got to happen right from the beginning, because the last thing you want to do is go on a road and then all of a sudden get down 10 or 15. And it's just hard to overcome that in the second half when you're on the road. Yes, you can do it at home, but much harder to do it on the road.
I'm wondering if there's any type of strategic moves they can make. And we were discussing, Wright being able to get into the paint so easily, but being smaller. But he's a good shooter too, so he's having a hard time finishing. Maybe move him off the ball a little bit more, put the ball in Saunders' hands, and see, particularly obviously in the first half, and maybe generate some more offense there and free up Wright to take some jump shots instead of trying to score and direct the offense, because that's a heavy load on somebody to carry.
Yeah, it is a heavy load. And he's asked to do a lot of things here, and he's capable of doing it. But I like your thinking there. I remember that there were times in in-game situations where I would something would come to my mind and thinking, what can I do? And I'm sitting there thinking about it, and it's like, maybe taking somebody off the ball. I mean, listen, you can't look at anyone. Wright has been amazing. Yeah. And what he's done for this team. But when guys are struggling a little bit, it's not the time to point fingers. It's time to, what can we do personally? What coach can I have go work out Wright or AJ or Saunders or Boscovich, whomever it might be? I mean, I'm looking at the line there with their bench guys, and I mean, just the 3-point shooting. AJ, I think, was 1 for 3. Saunders was 3 for 7. Wright was 1 for 5. Boscovich was 1 for 4. The 3 ball is a big part of the game today, and it's been a big part of the success BYU's had. And then when you look at the Kansas game, and you got 90 to 82, but it starts with Peterson going off and making everything he shoots. But then you go back and take a look, and Richie goes 33, 10, and 2. And AJ 17, 1 and 2. But you're 3 guys that are there and being asked to do it, but there hasn't been a lot of help. There's just not much coming off the bench. Guys get in foul trouble. Maybe a guy needs a break. And so they're going to need to develop their bench. and they're going to need to work with their bench and continue to do those kinds of things, which I know this staff is going to do. But I know as a coach, and for those that are listening that aren't coaches or watching as a fan, that you do have to do different things. And you have to maybe take a guy out of a rotation on a particular game and have him come off the bench. You got to get some confidence. These are really good coaches. I remember being a coach and trying to navigate through getting my guys to get their confidence back. But I like the idea of Richie Saunders, especially bringing his mates together in where coaches aren't involved, where managers aren't involved, and is talk through those things. That can be so therapeutic, and it can be so good for a team. You're not going to be having team meetings, every 2 or 3 days, but make them meaningful. If it's appropriate, I always like to see my guys just, Coach, we're going to be about a half hour late. We have some things we need to talk about. And if it's Richie and if it's AJ, whoever it might be, but you're looking at guys that have had a lot of success, that can really increase the confidence of this team and get them believing and playing the way that they want to play and the way the coaches want them to play.
This won't help this year's team, but do you think for next year's schedule, the schedule year 2 was much tougher than schedule year 1, but there weren't true road games. There were a lot of neutral site games. Now, I know you got to get somebody else to agree to it, so I don't know if you try to find someone in the Big Ten, maybe Izzo would do it. He seems to get a home and home so you can really feel what it's like to go on the road. Maybe go to Utah State or New Mexico or San Diego State, places that traditionally love to boo BYU, get a hostile environment there, because these guys didn't really play true road games until they got to conference. Now, they did win the first 2 against K-State and Utah, but is that something they should look at going forward? Real road games in November and December, where possible.
Well, I think when I was putting my schedule together, we did initially early on, depending on the team, and if it was a senior laden team, and we wouldn't do as much of this, but I always try to get 2 or 3 or 4 games in that first 11 where I could play younger players, where I could put myself in a position where I could play more players and watch and see what kind of development there was. But when you get to the second part of the early preseason, I always felt it was good to do it. And they played. I'm trying to think their schedule. I know they played UConn. What you guys?
Clemson, Villanova.
What's that schedule?
Wisconsin, Miami, Dayton. I mean, they played some teams where you're thinking, okay, this is a pretty good team, but they're mostly neutral court games. I think they played 5 neutral court games.
Yeah,
maybe 6.
And they're, I mean, I think if you're thinking as a coach, it makes things more equal. You're not playing at a home court advantage. You're playing somewhere where you have a better chance to win a neutral site game than you might on a road. Yeah. I'm talking they're playing good teams and good talent. So I'll just tell you kind of what I did. And I mean, I felt like I needed 3 or 4 games to get guys an opportunity, especially younger players, new to the program. But this team right now is not a young team anymore. I mean, they've played a number of games, and I think I'll go back to the accountability of the players. And where's that leadership? I got to believe Richie is where that heart and soul of that team is. Wright is a leader. He, and I don't know anything about his personality, so I can't speak to that. I'm not at practices right now, but when you're asking me to think about guys that can have an impact on winning day in and day out, certainly Richie and AJ and Wright are the guys that you look to. But who on that staff, like Davis the other night against Arizona, had 15. That's a good number for him. I'm looking at BYU against Kansas. AJ had 17, K to 9, Davis 2, Saunders 1 off, 6 for 14 3-pointers. Wright, the same guys, but there's not a lot of help off that first line of players. And so maybe we're developing, maybe we're spending time as coaches with individual players, helping them with the 3-ball, helping them with free throws, whatever the needs are. There's some special attention that goes to guys that maybe aren't where they need to be. And this is no time where we're berating players and doing those kinds. I'm not suggesting that at all. What I'm suggesting is I remember I got more done one-on-one with a young man that it was struggling, and there was no outside influence besides me. And then what you do is with your assistant coaches, I tell them what I've done and what I'm doing, and then let them reinforce that down the road where players feel like, oh, I'm part of this. Coach is taking special time. Hey, listen, when a head coach takes a player, and you can take any of these players here, but let's say that it's not AJ and it's not Saunders and it's not Wright, but look at a guy like Davis who goes 5 for 8 from the 3-point line against Arizona. Then you come back down here again, and he's 1 for 6 from the field goal. It's 2, 2, and 1. Well, that happens when guys play a little more time, or they're up here or down there. I just believe that accountability is the thing that you have to focus on as players. Number one, if you can get your leadership, the players themselves being a player-led team, you're always going to be better through those experiences. Yes, there are times we get upset and we get angry and we feel like maybe the effort isn't what it needs to be. Hold them accountable. I don't think the effort has been a major issue, but it is at times you watch a team that kind of goes through the motions and they get behind and then they got to fight and come back. And when you're playing in league play, you can't take anybody for granted. I mean, I'm looking at the upcoming games. They got Oklahoma State, and they're 15-6. BYU is going to be picked to win that game, but they're playing at Oklahoma State. And I remember being at Oklahoma State and going there. It's a tough place to play. And I know the coaches will prepare them for that, but these upcoming games against Oklahoma State and against Houston at home, which is obviously going to be a real beast, these are two really big games. Good news, Houston's at home, but this is a week. They sweep this week, that renews everything and gets the confidence. Maybe younger players, who's going to step up and make big shots. But it's a big week, and they got to take care of business, obviously, early on, and with Oklahoma State, and that's going to be tough. But playing Houston at home is going to be every bit as tough as well. So this is an opportunity. They go 2-0 this week. Not like the world's going to end and they lose a game. But if they could sweep this game, that gives this team and the coaching staff more confidence and more togetherness and unity than maybe what they've had in the last couple of games.
Coach, we appreciate the time as always. Thanks for joining us. We will talk to you again next week.
Great being with you guys. Have a good day.
There is Steve Cleveland. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
I just feel like defense is one of those things where if you're not getting it going offensively, that's something that can really kickstart your game. For me, I know that's my way on the floor, and that's kind of what I've been building off of, and it kind of gets me going offensively as well. So I feel like being aggressive on the defensive end, it kind of just pulls everything together.
Defense, PK. Play some defense. Pull your game together. Get your act together. Get a W, unless you're the Utah Jazz, in which case Cody Williams could just play some good defense and maybe lose to the Pacers tonight. It's a battle of two of the bottom 6 teams in the NBA.
I don't see it.
You don't see the Jazz losing?
I don't, no.
Yeah. Pacers are going back-to-back. Lost to the Rockets at home last night. Plus, you just think the Jazz are better.
Yeah. Well,
there it is.
Major reason.
The major reason. You're better, and they're going back-to-back. And there you go.
Yeah, the back-to-back home. I think all back-to-back should be when you're home rather than getting on a plane and flying a couple hours and so forth. Sure, it factors in, but it's more about I just look at the rosters.
Keontae George out with an ankle. Yusuf Nurkic out resting.
Yeah, he's gassed, man.
Got to be gassed.
A big dude.
They will, however, have Lauri Markkanen, apparently.
It's just like horse racing, You don't race back-to-back.
You don't. Even in 2 weeks is a little, they always raise an eyebrow at the Preakness 2 weeks after the Derby.
Yeah, particularly the length of the race. And I learned yesterday that Jim McMahon has his own race at Turf Paradise.
Oh, he does?
Yes.
The Jim McMahon Classic?
Yes, exactly. It's exactly what it's called. Literally. Nice. And Yak showed me that. And he says yesterday, I guess he was on Snapgram or something like that.
Snapgram?
That he shows me this picture. He says, "Do you know where this is?" I look at it. Yeah, it's Turf Paradise. Yeah. He says, Jim McMahon's got a race. I said, yeah. So I investigated it a little bit. And then the funny thing, you talk about ironic coincidence. I'm flicking around last night, just bored after the Kansas game.
Yeah.
And I come to this movie called it's like the Drifters or the Grifters or something. I'm not even sure what the name of it was. But there they were filming a scene at Turf Paradise. That was so weird.
And the horse track of your youth just kept popping up yesterday.
Yeah, after he mentions it after the show, it says, "You know where this is?" And I tell him, and then I'm just flicking around some show, and there it was. They were coming out of the building. I thought, that looks familiar. And then right on the side, Turf Paradise. So, your horse racing thing there. And Jim McMahon, I mean, he lives in Scottsdale. I think most people know that. Has a race named after him. And he was there.
Well, I figured it was either the Jim McMahon Classic, the Jim McMahon Stakes, or the Jim McMahon Derby. I don't know what else they would name a race. 1-3 shot. Jazz probably have better than a 1-3 shot tonight in Indianapolis. Pre-game at 4 o'clock with Jake Scott and Tim Lacombe. Tip-off at 5 right here on The Zone. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
Trade rumors are flying. James Harden and the Clippers have agreed that, yeah, they could part ways. There could be a deal there. Harden's not even with the team. Some personal reasons. He's missed the last couple games. Speculation among the Clippers and Cavaliers could be close to a deal. Clippers have been mentioned as one of 4 or 5 landing spots for Giannis Antetokounmpo. See if they pull together a deal or decide none of these deals are good enough. Let's wait for the summer or make a deal with the
in your voice. Wow.
Warriors or Knicks. All the drama right down to the wire here.
Yeah, the rumor is Harden wants out. They won't sign him to an extension. He knows Kawhi Leonard's going to get suspended, blah, 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 blah. You want to believe in all those conspiracies.
An arbitrator ruled in favor of suspended Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier in a salary dispute with the NBA. He was indicted in a gambling investigation. His salary's been in escrow since December. He's slated to make approximately $26.6 million. So, looks like he's going to get his money. And these suspensions, which I guess was a big thing with Paul George, that helps the Sixers. They take that money off and helps them negotiate the salary cap and the luxury tax and all that stuff. So, while it doesn't sound like a big deal, and obviously the player, the money, and then the club, what kind of room does that give them to make a move or not pay some big tax? So they battle these things out tooth and nail to the bitter end. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college basketball.
Darren Peterson got over his cramps, played 35 minutes, scored 19 points, missed a bunch of shots in this one, wasn't on fire the way it was against BYU, but helped Kansas to a very good road win. They win at Texas Tech 64-61 in a battle of ranked teams. So, good W for Kansas.
And Peterson looked very smooth on those 2 3-pointers, man. They were big-time shots. Tech doesn't have their one guy. Anderson didn't play, and so that was a little bit of obviously a blow there. But it was a fun game. You know, you look at Peterson, in my mind, clearly he's a better shooter than DeBonsa from the perimeter. I think that if I were, depending on what my team situation was, I still would consider DeBonsa ahead of Peterson, because I think Peterson, to an extent, not completely, because no one is, you're going to get better, but he's closer to what he's going to become. I think DeBonsa
still has a lot of upside and the higher ceiling.
And he's longer.
Yep.
And, now he's got to get better. If I'm going right now, one game in the NCAA tournament, I'm taking Peterson. But that's not the way NBA people look at it.
Nope.
So they shouldn't look at it like that. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be something fun to watch in June for sure. Oh, and in May after the lottery order is announced, how that works and what teams are looking for. Maybe you can't go wrong with either kid, but you want when you're drafting 1 or 2 and there's this talk of these 2 or 3, 4, 5 guys, man, you want to get as the best player possible over a 10-year period. So I still believe there's opportunities there when we get to, say, like 2030, 2035, that Debonsa could be the best player of all the kids and be better than Peterson.
Sounds crazy to say 2030 or 2035, and yet that's the exact window these guys have played through. So
yeah.
Sacramento State beats Weber State in California, 104-90. High-scoring game there. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
The one thing I do know is we're going to have 9 games internationally. It's the ambition that we have to be a global sport, but it's also the demand that we're having. We're hearing from cities all over the world that want to host these games and that really want to get more American football, and that's one of the things that we're really focused on.
The NFL is going to return to Mexico as part of a 3-year deal. So there's Roger Goodell, the commissioner, saying more international games coming. They're going to play in France for the first time ever. It'll be the Saints and the Browns in Paris. They want to go to 16 international games. I assume they won't make anyone play internationally the week before the playoffs. Give them a little break there at the end of the year. And maybe some weeks they'll have a couple international games. We'll see how that plays out. But more travel coming for NFL players. Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak deflecting all questions this week about his being the next head coach of the Raiders, saying he's locked in on the Super Bowl. Quote, I can just tell you I'm all in on the Seahawks. I'm all in on this game. Whatever comes next, we'll deal with that on Monday. Think he's putting together a coaching staff in his free time?
I think they have time.
Yeah.
So I don't think he needs to do that this close. I think
the calendar's a little more favorable in the NFL than it is in college football.
1,000 times more. Yeah, absolutely it is. It's clearly, and they'll wait. So I don't see, especially now that we're right on the doorstep. If it would have been maybe 3-4 weeks ago or something, but this news is coming out this very week. So what's a few more days? Yeah, I have no doubt that
the draft and OTAs are still a ways off.
Yeah, there's plenty of time, and even the combine thing.
Mm-hmm.
He can have time, still 2-3 weeks away, time to get all that stuff done.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
Tennessee Volunteers starting quarterback Joey Aguilar filed a lawsuit. He seeks an extra year of eligibility to play this fall. The suit argues that Aguilar should be allowed a 4th year of Division I football rather than having the years he spent at junior college in California. From 2019 to 2022 count against his eligibility. It's just JC football doesn't count anymore, PK, if he gets his way in court. This would be the second time. We've already seen that argument carry the day once. We'll see if it carries it again.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
7 years, just too much. JC football always counted. Why does it not count now? Because there's NIL and there's a lot of money to be made, and the players will ask anybody to play until they can find someone to say yes.
Okay.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Seattle Mariners bolstering their infield with the addition of all-star Brendan Donovan in a 3-team trade with the Cardinals and the Rays, who get prospects and draft picks in the deal. So, Seattle Mariners, you like that move? Scaring you with that?
Sure, anytime you can get an all-star. Now they're losing their third baseman, Suarez. I think he went back to the Reds where he started. But, sure, why wouldn't you? He's a very good player.
Countdown is on. It's almost time to report. Pitchers and catchers. We're closing in.
Yeah, I think that they report most of them on the 10th, and then 5 days later, the whole group gets going, and away we go. It's the sign of the annual renewal, which we will not have next year.
We will lack an annual renewal?
I just don't see where that.
Have you heard about the timing of that? Because labor stoppage and just, camps, if those things cost money, I didn't know if they could get the players in and make the money off the preseason and then off the spring training, or just cancel that expense altogether and just start right there.
Well, if they should get, they did this a few years back, they got an agreement during March, and they threw together a spring training on the fly.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because we were down there. And
nobody had planned for it, so
Right.
you could get tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Different deal.
Right.
If you've never tried to go to a Cubs game, good luck.
Yeah.
You got a better chance of getting a ticket at Wrigley in April or May than you do in Arizona in March.
Right, they flock. And now with the Dodgers having
moved from Vero Beach.
Yeah. And so we were there. They got it together. We go out to see the Dodgers, and I'm literally in the first row and not having to pay that kind of money. And this is probably whenever they had the last stoppage, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Whatever it was.
But they're coming out to pitch, unbeknownst to me, was Kershaw. That was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
And was the place half full?
I don't remember, but I remember that I had really good seats.
Yeah.
And I was excited, and normally you would have had to prepare for that weeks out.
Right. All right, DJ and PK.
#NHL.
Here comes Schmaltz with McBain and Marino. Back for Marino. In front, tapped in, and they score! Special delivery from John Marino to Nick Schmaltz. Schmaltz in front, shoots and scores again. Nick Schmaltz has 2 tonight. Oh, you're killing me, Schmaltz. Utah numbers ahead. Keller and Schmaltz. Schmaltz shoots and scores! Another Hattie for Nick Schmaltz. Send him!
Utah Mammoth blow out the Vancouver Whitecaps 6-2. Nick Schmaltz, the hat trick, goals 20, 21, and 22 on the year for him. And J.J. Peterka gets his 20th goal. Those guys probably on the way to 30. Lawson Krause, Mikhail Sergachev also score, and the Mammoth roll to the victory they had to have, PK. No long losing streaks, you said. Back-to-back losses, they stopped it against the worst team in the NHL.
Great.
Put the 2 points in the bank.
And in the back of the net, too.
And the back of the net, too. One more game for the Mammoth now on Wednesday, and then the 3-week Olympic break. Nashville GM Barry Trotz announced he plans to step down from his position and retire. He will remain on the job until the team identifies his successor. His vision for a veteran-laden squad never materialized into a team that could contend for the playoffs, much less a Stanley Cup. Nashville, one of the teams chasing Utah in the bid for the last couple of spots there in the playoffs. DJ and PK, that is what is trending. It is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up, Brian Geltzeiler joins us with the NBA trade deadline right around the corner. We'll talk with him at 8:30. Mike Folta, radio voice of the Utah Mammoth, at 9 o'clock. And it's a Utah Jazz Ticket Tuesday. We'll give away tickets to watch the Jazz and the Kings February 11th at the Delta Center. And we'll do that coming up at 8:30 and 9:30. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is JJ and Alex. I got this.
I'm starting to buy into the young group showing progress, slowly but surely, churning its way up the tracks to a superstardom maybe in the future.
How about Ace Bailey's last 10 games? You want to see the numbers? 15 points per game, 4.4 rebounds. He's shooting 34% from 3. As a rookie, I'll take that. Yeah. It's going to get better. You know, I talked to Will Hardy, and he talked about what they're doing is trying to get Ace to do a lot of the other things because they know he's an offensive juggernaut. They're working on a lot of other things, and maybe that plus some games he's missed kept him out of the rising stars, which how do you not have Ace Bailey in that game? Have you not seen the dunks? Have you not seen the production? Why do you not put Ace Bailey in that rising stars? It's a stars competition. These are the best players. So when you have a rising stars, your best young players need to be in that game. It's a joke. He's phenomenal.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's time for Hot Takes to Toast. The question this morning, the trade deadline is approaching. It's here Thursday. Should the Jazz make any moves? PK.
What?
There's a lot of sarcasm here from a lot of bitter Jazz fans. Michael, sell the team to New Mexico.
Just the state? What?
Apparently, yes. Yes, the state of New Mexico can purchase a team. They can play mostly in Albuquerque, but they can move around to Santa Fe, Las Cruces.
The Maloofs want to get back in?
The Maloof brothers. I hadn't thought of them in a while. They still own the Palms Casino. They still doing reality TV. What are they up to?
I think they have some New Mexico heritage.
They do. They have ties to Albuquerque. Yeah. Get the moves back in.
Yeah, when I used to go to Albuquerque at least once a year, if not twice, you'd pick up the newspaper and anybody who even drove through, they could connect them.
Yeah. We got greatness right here.
Yeah, they would. There's a boxer, was it Carbarol or something? Big famous boxer.
Yes. Yeah, I do remember that name.
And a few others along the way.
Well, most people don't want to give up the team. Most people want to trade Ainge. Joe, Clint.
Which one?
Scotty. Well, Joe and Clint just say trade Ainge, but Scotty specifically says Danny. So, frustration with the front office and the fourth year of the rebuild. However, some people don't make it personal. They just stick to the general sarcasm. Casey, we need some draft picks, right?
I don't think saying that you're disappointed in management, though, is personal.
Okay. You're just disappointed in management because they're responsible for making sure your favorite team wins.
Yeah, and that's across the board. I'm not talking about any individual management. I mean, you used to rag on the Spanos dudes, right? And that was ownership. Was it personal for you?
Yes, it was.
It was only personal because they lost. If they won,
I could have gotten over it.
Yeah. So it wasn't personal.
No, it's not like I've ever met him. I've never even met him. Never been in the same room with him. Yeah.
It's all about performance of the team.
Give me some wins.
And that ultimately,
give me some hope.
That's what the fans care about. That to quote a dearly departed coach, that's the bottom line.
I thought you were going to quote a coach who died, not one who moved to Michigan.
Well, he's departed.
He has departed. He does, but the way you said departed, when you give it the dearly departed, yeah.
Well, I didn't say the.
I went into funeral
in memorandum.
In memoriam, not in memorandum. Make a note of this.
Didn't you get a memorandum?
I did.
Anybody tell you?
I got several. So did you.
So I think that you could have angst, sports anger towards whoever your teams are if your teams aren't winning. Or there's only two things you're going to have. You're going to have anger, or you're going to have I don't give a crap. And the I don't give a crap, depending on how deep you're in, and I'll go specifically, most Jazz fans are eyeball deep.
There's a deep commitment. A long,
yes,
yeah.
Right. If you're from here.
Well, if you're from here, you pretty much know how long someone has been rooting for the team if you know their age minus 10.
And
by the time they're 10, that most people are locked in.
And I think it goes deeper if there's the family history. If
it goes back to
pop,
if
grandpa,
it goes back a generation or two, sure.
And we're removed to what are they? They're over 40-some years that they moved here, right?
Right.
And so now you can have that. And so you may claim you don't care, but you still care enough to tell us you don't care. Right? And you
go check a DJ and PK Facebook.
Yeah.
And then to make a sarcastic crack and post it. Yeah. Or maybe not sarcastic, maybe just real.
And the team, or the market is growing up with the big-time football and the hockey, and in 10 years, I strongly believe will be
Major League Baseball
into 2 or 3 years of playing. So they'll have times to grow, but the Jazz will always be the first love because they were the big time, and they did it the right way. The one that you can feel proud about Larry Miller, and we know that story, and drafting well, and then lo and behold, looky here, you got a winner. And you drafted so well that you had a winner for so long because you got two guys literally as babies, professionally speaking, and so you were in, and now it hurts. So you can have that anger. I've got no problem. I mean, the trade Ainge thing is, you're not going to do that. But the anger towards the management, I get it.
Means they're bought in.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connor came on the show a long time ago and said, you can love us and you can hate us. And it was right after they blew a 2-0 lead and lost a best-of-5 first-round series. It was the morning after. Actually, I think it was before I was doing the show with you.
Was it the Celtics or not the
Dallas?
Celtics? Dallas.
It was Dallas.
And I was still working for the Watchdog, but go ahead.
Don't. You can love us and you can hate us, but please don't ignore us.
Yeah.
And Kevin had a firm grasp on what it meant to be a general manager of a beloved franchise.
And Game 5 was here.
Yeah.
And my assignment from the Watchdog was trail that wild dude, Mark Cuban.
That new young owner?
Yeah.
Who was cutting
so
edge
I got there
crazy.
super early when they let us in and told them, hey, I'm just going to be trailing you. And
he went, great.
Yeah.
he was all about it.
Yeah. I used to be able then, and not that I had a personal relationship with him, but if you had NBA questions, you could email him.
Yep.
And he would email you back answers if you were a legitimate media member. And that was so fun that night. I know the Jazz lost, so it sucked for them. But just watching him, he was on a perpetual Jim Valvano looking for somebody to hug. And he runs in the locker room, and the guys are still celebrating now, and then he runs back out. And I needed my track shoes that night. And just following him and the excitement he had, it was fun. It was new. And there wasn't any jade in there yet.
No, I can't imagine what it was like.
Yeah.
The first time the Padres went to the playoffs, they trailed the Cubs 0-2, and they won 3 in a row, and it was a blast. And I was calling my dad every third inning. They're going to win. They're going to win. I can't even imagine. He was a fan and a season ticket holder who bought the club, and they had to go through a rebuild, and that was their breakthrough. They'd been down, so, of course, he was fired up.
But you have to ask yourself there, is management / Ainge is going to get the last laugh, or the fans going to have a perpetual cry?
An excellent question.
Or how long is the cry?
Do you see the middle ground there where it's going to get better? I personally believe it is going to get better. It's going to get better starting next year. The question is, what is the ceiling?
Yeah, but we've been talking about next year.
I know, I agree. So to go through 4 years of this, and then they build a team that's together for 4 years and never gets past the second round, and then they have to blow it up again? Kind of what they went through last time.
Well, they didn't have to. They chose.
Okay, they chose to. But if they choose to again in 4 years, maybe they don't have to. Maybe they'll choose to.
I don't know. That's so far ahead.
That's not good enough. Now, if this rebuild,
sure, but I mean, if you go to the finals and don't win, that's not good enough. There's only one good enough.
You and I both know that depends.
I
mean, yes, you want the championship.
What you just said. There were good times with Mitchell. There were a lot of great times. I would say great times. I just upped the stakes. So, but if you're going to go the ultimate, then you're most likely setting yourself up for bitter disappointment.
Well,
if that's it, if it's either or.
Well, everybody will set the bar for where they want. Some
but
people
everybody wants the title. That's no different.
Everybody wants the title, but some people may be realistic enough to say, hey, if they build one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the league,
that's not good
and
enough.
There's some super team that buys their way to the top, and there's nothing you can do because you can't build a super team here, but Miami or LA or whoever does.
That's temporary.
Right, but if it's your window that they crush, as these teams under these rules seem to be getting built and then pulled apart pretty quickly.
I don't know. You're creating a bunch of hypotheticals.
I am, because there are a bunch of hypotheticals, and we don't know what 2030 is going to bring.
But we're talking about the trade deadline. That's not a hypothetical. That's in a little over 48 hours.
So for the trade deadline, there are people here with specific plans. And as much as some people are scoffing, as I said, Casey, we need some draft picks, right? And then he even put in parentheses.
So he's making fun.
To make sure we didn't miss it, he put in parentheses, sarcasm. Casey's listening to the show. He doesn't want to hear PK say, well, is that sarcastic or not? It's like, I'll tell you it's sarcastic.
Well, obviously. They got
right.
But I can't say you have too many of them, but you have many of them.
The very next post is trade K-Love or Nurk for whatever draft capital they are worth. So Michael
Kevin
is
Love
actually
would be zero.
Michael is actually on board. You get a second-round pick. You're not getting a first-round pick.
I don't even know you can get that.
Yeah, they may not. And he may stay here. Or they may all stay here. We'll see. But Michael seems to be on board with the plan. 4 years. He probably thinks it sucked, but he's like, okay, pile up more draft capital. Any of the veterans you can flip. So whether he's enjoying the plan or not, Michael is on board with it and ready to double down on more draft picks.
I mean, the problem is there's only 3 of them that you would that are veterans.
Yeah,
you're not going to flip marketing for a draft,
draft
pick.
Picks. No,
it's
the finances.
Kyle Anderson, Nurkic, and Love.
Yes,
and that's the extent of it because they already did that. If you can't get anything for Clarkson, you ain't getting anything for these guys.
No.
And Sexton is younger. How about the Hornets, man? See, they won their 7th game in a row.
They did.
Most in 25 years.
Yep.
So it can be done. They're on their way toward doing it.
They're getting close to 500, and they're getting close to playoffs in the East.
Right.
Or at least playing.
After starting crappy, largely because they had some injury issues in the beginning of the season. But they're progressing. So it can and will be done. This team will be competitive. That's a low bar as far as I'm concerned.
And the low bar, but each round of the playoffs is another bar. And every 50, 55, 60 wins is another bar. Mm-hmm. And how many of those are they going to clear? I mean, if they clear all of them, then there's no debate, obviously.
You can just make the team, and this is going to sound kind of double talk, as good as it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe as good as it can be is second round. What are you supposed to do? Can't get blood from a rock.
Well, maybe
you
I just
do everything right and not do it.
Maybe I just hold the Angels in too high regard. And with Danny, there's certainly a track record. With Austin, there's just what I think and suspect.
The guy knows ball.
I know, and that's what I think.
Many conversations with him,
and that's why I think it's suspect if they do everything right and get just an average amount of good fortune.
Not going to do everything right.
Okay, if they do most things right. I mean, Ainge doesn't win it. He's not building a championship every year. Nobody does. Even Jerry West didn't. And Jerry West built a lot of championship teams. You're going to have teams that, for whatever reason,
on the back of Bill Sharman, but yeah,
on the backs of multiple people. You don't win every year, but you at least get as close as you can and look like you're on your way to building something. Or even if something's starting to erode, is there a trade you can make to extend your championship window?
But you're only going to extend that a couple of years.
Sure. And if you get one in that window, great. I mean, there are examples of people doing that.
But if you don't, it doesn't equal failure.
It doesn't necessarily, no. There could be years you get to the conference final and it could be a really good year.
Yeah. What can you do with what you have available? I always said coaching. I never felt it was Jerry Sloan's requirement to win a title to be a great coach.
Right.
Because ultimately, it's the guys. You do everything you could. And they did. Management did. But the guys couldn't get it done.
Right.
That's what it boils down to.
There it is. Multiple bites at the apple. A big 7-year run where they were.
That doesn't mean ownership
elite.
And managerialship
no, and if this
was a failure.
If this 4-year period produces that 7-year run from 92 to 99, and it's not a title, it was a great rebuild. I mean, it'll suck that you didn't get a title and you got close again, but that was a lot of full arenas and a lot of good times. And a lot of people getting together in front of the TV and screaming and yelling. There were some awesome moments along the way.
Well, I think they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And if they have an opportunity to better something on Thursday, absolutely do it. And even if you have to give up a piece, say you have to give up Collier, just
right. Pick one of the young guys, any one of the young guys, right?
And you feel that the team, by doing that, will be better, then I'm all for it.
Roll the dice. See what you can do. Aaron goes the other way, though. No way. Don't break up the chemistry. Why risk winning? Aaron thinks
but I don't think it is risking winning.
With whatever move they make.
Because I don't necessarily think it's...
whatever move they make will be future-oriented.
Yeah.
And it won't bring in... They're not going to bring in a veteran who helps them win right now.
No. It actually, if you make a move, I would suspect the team would be worse. If somebody gives them something, let's use Nurkic as an example.
Sure. He's obviously contributing.
Is he eligible to be traded? We've done all the rules.
Yeah, we're past all that stuff. Yeah.
And that will make the team worse.
Yep.
But you're looking to make the team better.
Right.
I wouldn't just throw away Nurkic in the manner that they did the other guys in the offseason. because he can help you next year when you're trying to win. But if you feel like it could help you next year by getting rid of him, absolutely do it. Yeah. And in the short term, it'll help you lose some games this year.
Yeah.
So that's a win-win.
Every time they sit him, they're more vulnerable to
He
another
doesn't need
defeat.
any rest. He needs no more rest than I do.
He's well rested.
Right.
And he's getting a little more rest today in Indiana.
Yeah, and gosh, for big men these days, has there never been an easier time to be a big man?
The best time. As long as you can move a little bit.
But he doesn't. They're not banging down low like they used to.
A lot less of that.
And you're not. They're running down fast break, a 3-on-1, and
Taking
two guys
threes.
run to the corner. You don't even need to get to the 3-point line on the other side.
No, you can jog a little past half court and just do the old U-turn.
Yeah.
Going back the other way.
So it ought to be easier. So he's extremely rested.
I'm not running coach. I'm defensive-minded.
But if they have an opportunity to make the team better in the long run, and by the long run, how about in the near future run? Is that more palatable than saying in the long run?
I can see some decisions.
You've heard enough of that.
I can see some decisions made for the near future, and the near future being defined as the next 2 seasons.
He's the only guy, unless somebody wants one of your young guys.
Bring somebody in and shut somebody down.
I mean, really, yeah. Everybody would be tradable. There's not a player on this team, certainly,
depending on
who
what's
is
coming back.
untradeable.
Yeah.
But the likelihood of George, Lowry, and Bailey are slim. And clearly, teams have been trying to rip off the Jazz for marketing for 3 years. And they're not going for it.
No.
They're just not. And that probably, I would say my level of probably would be about 90%, 95%. That's the right thing. Because the guy can play the game. It's clear, obviously.
He's got too much size and too much ability to score.
Especially in today's game.
Yeah, no, right. To give up on him
Right. So
for
don't
what they're getting offered.
Don't get 50, 60, 70 cents. No, you got to get 120 cents.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, he's too valuable, and he's not raising a stink, apparently. And he's not becoming a problem with all this losing. He's willing to bide time until he gets there. Now, if he's 30 and they're not there, and he's not furious, then I've lost respect for him. But I believe when he's 30, because he's 28 now, right?
Yeah.
I believe they'll be on the winning trajectory to having an 83rd game in whatever form that takes it. To me, I've been saying this since they started it. The play in is the play off. I don't understand why it's different. It's different, but why we call it something different doesn't make any sense. If you're playing an 83rd game, that's the postseason. And didn't they do away with that in baseball, or is it still? They still call that regular season stats. If you play 163rd game, I always thought that's the playoff.
Yeah, now I don't think they even do those games anymore. I think if you tie for the last wild card now, they use tiebreakers.
Yeah.
I don't think they even add a game because they want to get onto the 2 or 3 series.
Sure, yeah.
I think the attitude in Major League Baseball was just, we've added another spot that would take care of anyone who had tied. If you tie for this last one, we haven't got time
Sucks
for you.
for you.
We have a
don't make
TV.
it.
Yeah, we have a TV schedule to keep to and money to make. So here's your tiebreaker. Let's go.
Yeah, right. And I'm fine with that because you got all that going there. So it'll be interesting to see if they do something. If they don't, okay. I mean, doesn't as long as you lose this year, I think that's the priority. Is lose this year.
Get your draft pick.
Yeah.
Get a good player. Make some moves in the summer that impact the team in the short run, the next year or two. And then let's go next year and see what happens.
Yeah, because you ought to be able to get a George Hill type player.
Bring in your Joe Johnson and your George Hill.
And Diao.
Right.
He helped them a little bit.
A Nurkic type player. Not a star, but somebody who can help you a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I would be inclined to keep him.
Because that's the kind of player you'd probably be adding.
Yeah, and he will help you next year.
Either in the 15 minutes that Kessler doesn't play.
Right.
Or if something happens with Kessler, I mean, they don't have it's restricted free agency this summer. And,
Yeah.
You know, they'll have the right to match, so you can't just walk. But what if he comes back with an offer and you're thinking, that just can't be the number? Well, then you start thinking sign and trade or whatever, and now you need 48 minutes there.
Yeah. And then
I think it gets worked out.
The match,
we'll
so
see.
do I. And then you get to, you be a sourpuss and Gordon Hayward, and the first chance you get to get out, you did because you made me go on some tour. And then I made you come down to San Diego in the mountains on July 4th. Who wants to deal with that? Life's too short.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. More on the NBA trade deadline coming up at 8:30 this morning. Brian Geltzeiler will join us with a ton of attitude from Jersey. We'll see what he thinks of the Jazz at the deadline and what he thinks of the Clippers and the Bucks and what are they going to do with Giannis and with Harden. We'll get to that coming up. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Don't miss your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone. This week, win tickets to see Brian Regan at the Delta Center on Saturday, February 14th. Get your tickets today at SeatGeek.com or listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. Do you care much what happens to Giannis or James Harden? Do you think most of our audience cares much what happens to Giannis or James Harden?
Yes.
As human beings. Now you're getting deep.
I care about my fellow man.
We have had a discussion here many times. How much is this an NBA market? How much is this a Jazz market? The whole chase to the championship gets a whole lot more interesting when you're in the middle of it. And then you'll start analyzing the 5 or 6 teams around you.
It do.
And right now, the Jazz are not anywhere near the middle of it. So I don't know how much they're obsessing about what happens to Giannis.
I don't think
or
they're
Harden.
obsessing, but I think that if you're a Jazz fan, by extension, to at least a minimal degree, you're an NBA fan, and those are two of the bigger names in the game. So you'd be, if they're traded, you would have a curiosity, and then I think the public likes trades. We don't seem to have as many of them as we used to, but we still go, oh, that was good, that was bad. Why'd they do this? Why'd they do that? We're all at heart some form of a general manager. That's the fun part. You sit around your dinner table or having a drink with your buddies and you say, yeah, man, why'd they do this? Why'd they do that? Blah, blah, they should have done this, should have done that. And that's the fun part of doing it. The arguing, if it comes to it, or agreeing, but more arguing, and you're crazy, that's stupid. That's all fun, I believe. When you're talking about sports, it's fun.
Right now, I think we're seeing the passing of the torch here. I mean, Harden and Giannis are stars, but are they really going to impact the championship? Right now, just by record, and that may not, the regular season record may not translate to the postseason, but the Thunder, Spurs, and Pistons, who've all been built by teams that had draft picks and in some cases have spent a long time, Detroit spent a long time trying to figure it out and put it together. And then maybe an occasional trade. Obviously, the SGA trade is a big deal of Oklahoma City. They're the ones at the top, and I'm wondering how much any of these vets are going to move the needle. Because when we've gone through this before with Jimmy Butler, yeah, they're great if they play together. Philly's done this, and then you got groups of guys who play in 8, 10, 12 games together. It's like, that's not going to get you anywhere. You're a celebrity, but you're old and you can't stay healthy in the current NBA. And I wonder with both Harden and Giannis, how much they're really going to move the needle for someone.
If Yanni went to Boston, he makes them an instant contender.
You think he's going to Boston?
No.
Yeah. The Knicks are the team that has the record that's closest, where it looks like they have the furthest jump to make to be in a or the shortest jump to make to be in a championship. You know, maybe Minnesota next. I mean, the Warriors, that would be a big jump.
I don't
for
believe
them.
anybody in the East is going to win the title.
Yeah.
But you asked a theoretic question. Yeah. I gave you a theoretic answer, and then you asked me, do I think that they're going to trade him to Boston?
Negative.
All of a sudden, we're not theoretical anymore.
Figure maybe you read something. Maybe you heard something. Maybe one of your sources.
No, I would have brought that up long ago if that were the case. So I was just playing along. I play along with you, and then you shoot me down.
No. I've loved every second of it. There's no shooting.
You think that he's going to go to Boston and get this missive, backhanded slap in the face?
That is not what that was.
That's
but
exactly what it was.
I can arrange one for you if you'd really like it.
And all I was doing was playing along your stupid game, and then you attack me for playing along.
DJ PK, we focus on the college hoops next. And then more trade deadline stuff with Brian Geltzeiler coming up at 8:30. Stay with us.
Joy to the world, all the boys and girls.
KSL Sports Zone, the Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week.
I think the singer of this band died the other day, hence the music.
Question up on our Facebook page. What can BYU basketball do to avoid playing a bad first half? PK, we got a long list of answers, and we can go through them, but I can sum them all up right here by telling you very few of them have anything to do with physical. It's all mental stuff. Yeah. It's mind games. John says, tell them to play like they're down by 30. That's when they play their best basketball.
Well,
Ken says, have a hypnotist tell them they're down by 20 to start the game.
And like that, you snap out of it. I think that they, certainly home games, maybe even road games, tomorrow night in Stillwater, in that basketball arena.
Yeah.
Which is connected, where you see them, the one end zone where there's a building. That's like the locker room. It's everything in there.
When you watch it on TV, is it off to the right?
It's in the end zone.
Yeah, the end zone to the right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
When you watch it on TV.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see that building? I was wandering through it, and then all of a sudden, there I am. It's under the same roof.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But they shouldn't refuse. They should refuse to be introduced and tell I guess I was going to say OKC, but just OK State, it's your ball to start the game. So we're thinking it's the start of the second half. So we don't have any pregame introductions. Just turn your back on it. Go be in the locker room. And then take the court, and you don't even have the center jump. Give the ball to the Cowboys. Trick them into thinking this is the second half.
Would you give them a 10-point lead? Guys, we're down!
No.
They need to trail to play their best.
No, they just need to think it's the second half. Something's got to be done. This is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. A quality team with multiple NBA players now. You got multiple.
Fact. 2 for sure, maybe more.
Yeah.
Maybe a third.
Yeah. And you keep falling behind and have these incredible rallies. You're going to have 4 or 5 times? When has that ever happened? Maybe in the NBA because you play 3 times the games. But in the college game and in conference, when every conference game is huge.
There are a few people with basketball theories and who stay away from the psychology. Tony says, get the players some space and hit open shots. Thinks they're taking too many contested shots.
But only in the first half.
The isolation game, it does appear to get a little stagnant at times.
But only in the first half.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
Jace, get to Banson and I'll be a black hole on offense and play some defense. Okay, well, when they were in isolation plays, that's how it's going to look. But I get your point, Jace. You want to see the ball move.
He doesn't take that many shots in the first half, and they're down by 20.
I know. Didn't take any in the first 8 minutes, right?
11.
11 minutes.
Yeah. It was like 11:49. He took his first FGA. He's not exactly forcing it.
Everybody else got one?
Yeah. I'd have to go through every single time he touched the ball, every single possession, and I can't do it off the top of my head, even though I'm watching the game, as to why that didn't happen, that he didn't take that shot. I'm sure they do. That's their jobs, and they got 50 people down there to do it.
And especially by the time they've watched all the film. But, yeah, watching live, they're seeing how often there's help. He's doubled.
So find a way for an accomplished NBA basketball mind, or just basketball mind for that matter, in Kevin Young, this is baffling. And I'm sure it's baffling to him, too.
Do you think we're going to get a week or two down the line and they're going to figure it out like they did last year? Because last year we were baffled. Now, it was earlier in the conference season. By the time we got to this point in the calendar a year ago, they were figuring it out, and we realized they were figuring it out. Because there is something to be said of, like, the coaches have to figure it out, but then they have to get the players to do something that they haven't done before and to play a different way. And for most of these guys, this is the best competition. Big 12 conference basketball is the best competition they've faced, with a possible exception of an international tournament.
The problem with this team, though, and figuring it out, is there's not much to figure out.
The lack of depth here is starting to...
They don't... Like, watching last night, there's a kid for Texas Tech who averages 12 points a game, and midway through the second half, he's got 17. And we saw that Tiller.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody like that. No. So what do they... Last year, they had to figure out personnel.
Mm-hmm.
There's no personnel to figure out.
Unless one of these guys who's a role player suddenly turns into, hey, I gave you 15 when you didn't expect it. But that's not happening.
Right.
I mean, we're adding up, so was it 5 guys played 66 minutes and combined to score 5 points against Kansas?
I mean, last year they discovered catching wasn't where it was at, and his aunt's up there in the stands and on Twitter pouting.
Yeah.
And so they bring in Mag, and the guy helps him. And where was he earlier in the season? Well, we're late in the season now. We're still enough time, but we're later. And it doesn't seem like there's anybody that they can pluck in and say, you could develop into a nice role player for us.
And the thing I think that's a real red flag here is if I can't figure out who the player who's going to evolve is, okay, well, I'm not at practice all the time. I wasn't at all the summer workouts, right? They may see something I don't, but when they go the unusual route of bringing a guy in who wasn't on the team, who was playing in the G League, and Ahmed, then maybe they don't see anybody either.
Well, because they don't have anybody.
Right. That's what I think. I think because they saw all those workouts we didn't see and all these team practices, they're like, we better go get somebody because nobody here is going to emerge.
But it still doesn't
totally
answer
explain the question in the first half.
So hot and cold, or
do you
cold
think
and
there's,
hot?
and we have different people going to youth and immaturity, which Braxton does. The more AJ has the ball in his hands, the more I realize he isn't worth $7 million. He's young. He makes stupid mistakes. They're not going to make him pass the round of 16 in March Madness if they keep playing like this. All the coaches that say get old, stay old, all the rosters we see that are just laden with juniors and seniors, not just this year, but last year we were going through it too, and they're counting on 19 and 20-year-olds. Now, Wright has seen the Big 12 before. I mean, he was in Baylor last year, so it's not a complete mystery to him. But the guy who delivered was 24. The guy who delivered at Kansas the big game, Saunders. He's been through this a lot. Now, maybe I'm just cherry-picking good data there because he's had games where he wasn't the guy who was on fire. But nonetheless, on the road in a tough spot, it was the 24-year-old who came through. So when we're talking roster building next year, it's like they got to go out and find some 4th and 5th year guys who they think are good players to build that depth. Don't try to build that depth with young guys. You still want to go out and get a couple top guys and are freshmen and sophomores, and you can't deny the talent.
I think it's where they got hurt with Baker.
Oh, clearly.
I mean, he's got what you're looking for. I don't see youth as the problem for the first half starts.
You don't think it's immaturity? We got
because
this.
They didn't get any. They got minutes older in the second half.
Well, yeah, but then they play with a sense of desperation because they're down.
Okay, then play with a sense of desperation in the first half. And if you're playing with a sense of desperation, if that's the key, and if playing with a sense of desperation solves all your problems, then they're going to be in the Final Four.
Then also this whole argument that we always hear that I actually kind of hate, but we hear, he's not a freshman anymore. He's played 30 games. So if you're young and you're just figuring this out, well, how many times do you have to get hit upside the head to figure it out? You've lost 3 of the last 4, and you've done this 6 or 7 times. But they got away with it when they did it in December. They rallied and beat those teams. So now maybe they're finally learning their lesson. Maybe we're going to turn on this game at Oklahoma State and finally see them get off to a good start just because they're sick and tired of losing.
Well, I would suspect that they would beat Oklahoma State because they're better.
Yeah.
And the teams that they lost to in those situations, they weren't better. And it doesn't matter what grade level is assigned to you.
beat Oklahoma State, but then here comes Houston, and the bar is raised again.
Yeah, but that's another story.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about first half collapses and second halves where the switch it's
night and
such
day.
a
It's night and day. It's
dramatic
startling.
turnaround. Yeah. This is incredible. The rally against Arizona was incredible. The rally against Kansas was just short of incredible. I mean, they never had the ball with the chance to take the lead.
No.
They came up a little short. And I think that they were the beneficiary of referees wanting to be cheered a little bit. But that's what you get at home and on the road. That's as old as the game. So find a way to be more consistent. Because even I think one of the things we're overlooking is they could have been consistent as they want against Arizona and Kansas and still lost those games. So it's not like if they went into the locker room down by 5 or up by 2 that, then they win those games. Because the other team has the opportunity to play desperate too. So you don't know that, if they just would have played better in the first half.
Then maybe it's a game where they trade the lead and nobody ever leads by more than 6, and then whoever hits a shot at the end wins the game.
Yeah.
Which would feel different than you're constantly getting down by double digits and 20 points.
Yeah. As far as entertaining, their second halves are must-see basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really fun, any team, to see them be down by 20 in the second half and roar back. And then whether you're at home or on the road you'll get the anxiety of the fans, and at home you'll get the wild emotion of the fans. And then they have to stop playing. They're trying to beat two things each time this happens. They're trying to beat the opponent, and they're trying to beat the clock. This isn't baseball where you got 27, I got 27. And
the clock is ticking.
Yeah. And trying to beat the clock
hurry up
is a problem.
Hurry up can be a problem.
It's difficult enough to beat Kansas at Kansas and Arizona no matter where you're playing them. But then you're trying to beat the clock too. And you're running out of time every time. Don't do that. Go to where you can just play your game and run your offense, do what you're supposed to do defensively, and then see what happens. I'd rather have that than these wild swings. I'd rather have them lose a hotly contested game where there was a level of even back and forth. Because somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. That's the way it is.
But at least
I can live with that.
At least you don't have a stretch of anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 minutes of bad basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, you're giving up 52 or 53 points, whatever it was, and being down by 20 at the half. It's just a massive red flag. There's no way around it.
Because you're going to lose most of the time if you have to beat the opponent and the clock.
But they got away with it 3 or 4 times. So mentally, do they think they can pull it off? I mean, Clemson was remarkable, but there were a bunch of other games where they were down big.
Well, yeah, that Delaware they knew full well. TCU, they probably thought they could at home.
Right.
TCU and Fort Worth, another story.
And if you go back to the Wisconsin game, that's a game where they traded hoops for a long time, and then they did play better later, and then they just blew it open.
They put the hammer on them.
Yeah, they blew that thing open.
Right.
Now, that's still
more like it.
Very different levels of basketball, and they got better as the game went along, and there was a stretch where they were much better later than they'd been early, but when they were not great early, they were trading hoops.
Right. Well, they were fine. They were just kind of in a feeling out process, playing the game of basketball. Wisconsin has good players. Yeah. And then you put the hammer down and you smoked them. That's great, too. I'm fine with that. And that's a customary way to win. As the game progresses, you get more comfortable, and then away you go. Yeah, I would love to see that tomorrow night. And Houston, that's probably the way it's going to be if you win. It's hard to pull away from Houston.
Yeah.
There's
not that many points scored in a typical Houston game. Every once in a while you see Houston play a high-scoring game, but in an era where the score has gone more towards 75 or 80 points, they
can blow you out, but I don't
see
them getting blown out. But this is really cool in a sense that, okay, you've got these huge, huge expectations, and maybe the expectations were too hard. One of the most difficult things to do in sports is meeting expectations.
Well, when you said they were doing two things, beat the opponent, and then you went to the clock, I thought you were going to say beat expectations.
Well, that's over the course of the season, and you have individual judgment points. But, yeah, and I'm writing about this. They'll post it here later today, that DeMonsa trying to meet expectations is almost nearly impossible.
Be the number one player and go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
And lots of number one draft picks don't go to the Final Four. Occasionally it happens. Anthony Davis pulled it off at Kentucky.
Well, it happened last year.
Yeah. Yeah, Duke. And, of course, Duke did have the four. He had a lot of help.
Well,
They don't
still happened.
They don't have four NBA guys, but yeah, it happened.
Yeah, and that for him/them to meet expectations, it's really hard. I would say I would favor 75% that they don't.
Go Final Four?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Totally reasonable.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing to do. And these expectations are, to an extent, outside expectations, but also inside. And now you factor in the money. Yeah, the money. And
I'm surprised you took that long to factor it in. It's never far away.
The Dodgers take all sorts of heat for money.
Yeah.
And if you're a Dodger fan, well, everybody could do it. And if you're not, this stinks, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But we all know. I would like now to make them publish your salary, your bottom line. How much money is each team making?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Coaches need to be graded on a curve. I mean, we're just going to keep firing the coaches on the great record, and then you find out, well, they only got 40% of the money as somebody else, or 60% of the money.
And I felt last night watching that
on.
game. Most teams in the Big 12, most teams in the country, they're not going to compete with that. We laughed.
You're talking about Kansas and Texas Tech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know those two schools have invested in their basketball team. You're about to tell a softball story, aren't you?
We were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
They
Right
came
after the
out
show.
with the Big 12 softball. The season starts now.
Uh-huh.
This is their week, and then next week is baseball, right? And they came out with the Big 12 all-conference softball. And they had and this was on social media, and they had the school logo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your eye immediately goes to, wait a second, there's one logo on there 3 times more than any other logo.
The logo keeps repeating. And instead of chaos, your eye goes to it because it's so orderly.
Right,
Falls
it's on
in
the
line.
second half.
Yeah, falls right in line.
And it's Texas Tech.
Huh.
Yeah. And they got that candidate gal who blows smoke and just dominates.
The pitcher we've talked about, who transferred from Stanford for $1 million.
And she took him to the College World Series last year. And I went back and looked at Texas Tech's record, softball. They're like 27, 22, and they were good, but not great. And then you look at last year, 54 and 3. What the hell's the difference?
What changed? I can't put my finger on it.
They paid for this phenomenal success. And we ought to do that. I want to see that more like we do with the Dodgers.
Right. Well, we do with all pro sports. It always comes out, and we know. I mean, football, there isn't much wiggle room.
Right. And in basketball, there's not that much.
But in baseball, it really is telling.
Yeah,
You know the Rays are trying.
Baseball and college sports are the same now.
They are. Yeah. And we want to see in college sports, who are the Rays trying to outpunch their weight?
Yeah.
Or the Royals at one point, or Oakland at one point. Yeah. All right, Brian Geltzeiler, SiriusXM NBA radio host, joins us next. Mike Folta at the top of the hour. Stay with us. NBA Draft Talk right around the corner.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. we need to give away some Utah Jazz tickets because it is a Ticket Tuesday. We've got tickets to see the Jazz and the Sacramento Kings February 11th at the Delta Center. Big game right there, PK. That'll be two of the bottom six teams going at it. 801-575-ZONE. Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. Wins tickets to the Jazz and the Kings, and we'll give away tickets every hour on the half hour all morning long. DJ PK, and we're joined once again by Brian Geltzeiler from SiriusXM NBA Radio. Brian, good morning.
Good morning, guys. You're giving away Jazz Kings tickets. I'm just wondering, is that a prize or is that like a punishment?
Oh! Yeah, see what you did there.
Oh, we're all fired up today, boys.
So the winner gets 2, the loser gets 4?
Exactly.
It's strange times here. Jazz fans are trying to accustom themselves to going to games, watching the young guys play well, and then have something go wrong in like the last 3 minutes and lose the game.
It's part of the model, right?
Yeah.
It's how the whole thing's been drawn up.
Yeah.
So it's, and listen, the reality is that the Jazz have a decent future. They just got to be careful with this marketing thing. So, you're starting to build a stable of young players. You're seeing some good things out of certain guys, and it certainly can be on the upswing sooner rather than later. But, not moving marketing and signing to that extension will be something that they may regret here going forward, just because I don't think he adds up with the timeline of the rest of this young core.
Yeah, obviously he's a little older. I mean, in some cases he's 6-7 years older. When you look at it being 28, he still has prime, but the other guys, George has made a quantum leap. You had I assume you had an opportunity to at least be aware of Ace Bailey in your backyard there in Piscataway.
Absolutely.
And what do you think of his progression this year? Because I think it's okay. I see something there. I think they're excited that they have him, and we'll see what the next 3 to 4 years brings. But what do you think?
It's kind of what I expected, which is that there's adjustments that he's still making, but the athleticism is there. The individual shot making, it's not there yet. You see the path for it to be there. And there's definitely the trajectory to being a star-level scorer there for him. It's just going to start a little bit slow because there's a lot of bad habits to undo. Listen, last year at Rutgers, Steve Peichel let him and Dylan Harper do whatever the heck they wanted to do. And when you get into the NBA, you can't do it that way. Now, Harper has adjusted much better, but a lot of that adjustment has to do with context, And listen, I don't fault Bailey for the stuff that went on pre-draft and after draft. He got rid of the agent, Omar Cooper, that was steering him in the wrong direction. And he's really a good kid by all accounts. Anybody who's had contact with him loves Ace Bailey. And I think he's going to be a really good NBA player. But this is kind of what I expected this year. He's retreated a little bit from the bad habits, but it's also kind of at times, shot his aggression in the foot a little bit. And you want to see kind of a middle ground there. He will get there, and I think he's going to be an outstanding player. I think it was a super draft pick that Jazz fans are going to love for the future. But I think you have to understand this was not a guy that was coming into a situation where he had the NBA readiness of Cooper Flagg or Con Knipple, or to be able to fit into a really good context around good players like Dylan Harper and VJ Edgecombe. It just wasn't going to be that for Ace Bailey in Utah. It doesn't mean that he can't catch those guys and be every bit as good as any of those guys, because I think it can be. I think he'd be really, really good. It's just a question of giving him the right kind of runway and the right kind of timeline. And in all fairness to the Jazz, they're doing exactly that.
We've got some relatively new teams at the top of the Western Conference, mostly built through the draft. Obviously, SGA was a trade for Oklahoma City, but Thunder, Spurs, the Pistons in the East. Do you think that any of the teams that are chasing veterans right now, whether it's Giannis or Harden, are there any deals out there that are going to catapult a team that's maybe a little more towards the middle into that group with the Thunder, Spurs, and Pistons, or not?
It's a very interesting question, because when you look at who's available and what is going to have to be given up for who's available, it's tough to see that. Now, listen, if the Sixers decided they wanted to do something, they could be one move away from being an elite-level team in the Eastern Conference. I think Boston, if this new ownership group is willing to suck up the repeater tax, and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. they could add a big, get Tatum back, and be the best team in the East. And so I think that's worthwhile. The one team I would tell you in the East I'd have an eye on a little bit with the guys that are available right now, and I know how aggressive they have tried to be here because of how well the team's played this year, is the Toronto Raptors. And so, but it also depends who comes available. I don't think they're going to be a player for Giannis because the conversation stops when Milwaukee asks for Scotty Barnes. But, you see even Harden coming available and Cleveland and the Clippers being advanced on talks. Who knows what's happened there? That's not a done deal. Not that if I'm the Raptors, I'm running to get James Harden, but I think the Raptors are going to lay in the weeds a little bit there. When it comes to the Western Conference, listen, I think the Rockets have to add somebody at point guard. And one of the things that no one has really talked about regarding the Schroeder to Cleveland deal with Keon Ellis, which was a very good deal for Cleveland, is that 2 point guards in McCollum and Schroeder have gone off the market that both would have been very useful to Houston that's desperate at the position. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. If they can bring in a point guard, then the other team that hasn't brought in a point guard, that needs a point guard desperately, is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I know they're chasing Giannis. I personally think that's a pipe dream, but I think the team in the West between the Rockets and the Timberwolves, if one of them is able to land a point guard, that could certainly be a launching pad to be a top of the conference team come playoff time.
I'm wondering where you stand on guys putting up numbers in losing situations, because there's some thought, well, who cares? What does it really mean? What have you proven? And obviously the Jazz have that with just that I had mentioned with Keontae George. We see him every game, obviously, that he plays, and it looks like the thing that's impressed me, the stats are there, clearly, obviously, but the way he's handling himself, when there are not that many clutch situations for them to be in, and it's all relative anyway, but it's like he's just got this persona like, hey, I'm going to get the ball, I'm going to make the shot. I've been impressed with him, but yet it's still in a losing situation. So where do you stand on guys doing that?
He's been efficient, I have to say. I can't fault his level of efficiency. The only thing I will say regarding him is that some of the shot selection stuff probably won't play all that well on a good team. And it's because he does, he's a little loose with the shot selection. But it's very hard to criticize the guy's shot selection when he's playing as efficiently as George is. So, listen, I do think that that's going to be the one thing as they get better where he's going to have to fit in a little better. But right now on this team, the shots are available and he's making them. And so I really don't have a big issue with it. And I think as they develop this roster, as guys get better, he's going to have to be a little smarter about the shots he takes. At times, move the ball a little bit more. He dribbles out a lot of shot clocks. With all that said, again, he's still averaging 6.6 assists a game. He's getting to the free throw line. He's got a true shooting percentage of 61%. The dude, he's playing great. He really is. But I do think the one element that you look at with putting up big numbers on a bad team is are you going to have a situation as a team gets better where he tailors his shot selection to be able to fit a better group around him? That, to me, is an important question.
The other guy who's scoring a lot is Markkanen, and you referenced this earlier, and I'm curious what you think about that decision to sign him and how this may play out. I thought when they did it, they were probably trying to hold on to two paths. There's one path where they go forward and they have a chance to use all these draft picks and young players and go get a really good player, in which case they've already got Markkanen, and now they can go, right, make a run to get to the conference final or, see whatever. And then there's another path where that doesn't happen, and maybe with a year and a half left, on his deal, they do move him. At that point, he'd probably be 30, and he hasn't played a lot of. He hasn't played a 70-game season yet. It's not like he's got a lot of minutes on him, and he's 7 feet tall and he can shoot it. So maybe they could still move him, in another 2 seasons when he has a year and a half left on his deal. What do you think about those two paths? How realistic are they?
Well, I think the Jazz missed a window because one of the things, and a lot of teams were caught, out of left field with this, which is I don't think anybody really measured appropriately how much the second apron was going to make contracts north of $50 million, no matter how good a player is, things that teams are staying away from. And I think that's become a major impediment. There was a window there for the Jazz where they could have gotten one of these Godfather types of offers for Markkanen that Milwaukee's soliciting for Giannis right now. That was out there for them. And they made the decision to extend him and not do that, figuring that would be out there for them later with the understanding about how well Markkanen's going to produce. Well, Markkanen's produced great this year, 27-7. He's shooting the ball certainly quite well. 47% from the field. 36% from three could be a little bit better. But another guy, 61% true shooting percentage. Guy's playing great basketball. The problem is that who wants over $50 million on their books right now? Like, is he going to be the second best player on a legit title contender? I don't know that you guys can answer that question. I don't know that I can answer that question. And if you can't answer that question, it's a lot of money for him. And that's kind of what you're seeing right now. Teams are shying away from those huge numbers. It's one of the reasons that John Morant doesn't have a lot of trade value. It's everything has to do with the contract. It's the reason the Knicks can't unload Karl Anthony Towns for any kind of value right now. These contract sizes in the second apron era are really, really toxic no matter how good a player is. And that's where I think the Jazz may have gotten caught holding the bag. And to your point, waiting may be the only option that they have as you get deeper into the deal, where one of the selling points is financial flexibility. Because, again, teams were for a while looking to trade guys that were extended because they felt like they had them locked up for a while. The problem is these locked up numbers are not on reasonable deals. And as much as the cap goes up, these are still taking huge chunks of the cap, and it becomes very, very hard to build around them, especially if you're one of these teams that's trading a lot of first-round picks, which is keeping you from having cost-controlled talent, cheap labor, because you don't have the draft picks to go make to be able to supplement a la Oklahoma City, a la San Antonio right now, even Houston to a lesser extent. If you don't have that, these deals well into the $50 million that go out a bunch of years, teams stay away from them. So I think kind of as much as you say, it'd be a plan to hold Markkanen, I almost think it's a mandate. I don't know if you have a choice.
Can anything be done about tanking?
Listen, it's always going to exist. To me, I would flatten all the lottery odds, that all lottery teams are created equal, and the first four or the first five have a shot at a pick and everybody else slots in afterwards. And that way, the best you're going to do by tanking is get to number 6. That's all. I would make tanking less attractive that way. I think even having these weighted lottery odds is favoring tanking, even the ones that they flatten where the top 3 could all be the same. And the other part is this. I do think that the league has to absolutely figure out how they're going to handle protections on picks. I think protections on picks has caused some very bad tanking situations. Okay, last year the Sixers were as bad as possible to make sure they kept that pick. The year before, it was Dallas making sure that they could keep the pick that ended up getting them Derek Lively. It's that, to me, the protections on picks is the part that's really creating it the most. And again, teams that are going into seasons designing to be bad, you hate to see that happen. But flatten some lottery odds, okay, and don't have weighted lottery anymore, and you'll see how fast that changes. That'll certainly incent teams to want to be in the play-in tournament more. You can make the play-in and still get the number 1 overall pick. You could certainly, Dallas did that last year. So I think if you flatten those odds and make it 5 teams instead of 4, and then, really when it comes to protections on picks, I don't know that you can say, hey, going forward, there's no such thing as trading protected picks. I'm not positive what the solution is, but that's, I think, the spot where the league has to really brainstorm, because the pick protection stuff has caused some egregious situations over the last couple of years.
And see, that's where you go back to what you said earlier about the system, because Philly did it. The whole league watched Philly, who should have been one of the best teams in the league. Instead, they make themselves, with a little bad luck and then some decisions, they make themselves one of the worst teams in the league, and they get lucky, and they get rewarded with Edgecombe. And when everybody sees that, the number of people wanted Edgecombe here, he's playing in the Big 12, so all the Uten Cougar fans are seeing him, and he's paying off. So Philly did it, and you can say it's horrible, but you also got to say it absolutely paid off.
It works. It works. Listen, OKC was as bad as they could be for 2 years. A couple years later, they'll win an NBA championship.
Yeah.
If you do it the right way, it works. And that's why you really need some systemic changes here. Listen, part of what OKC did is this bites at the apple strategy and trading all the picks and then keeping all the picks. So I don't want to say it was all luck with them. It's been a lot of smarts. You drafted Jalen Williams. You drafted that Chet Holmgren was a number 2 overall pick. But you drafted him, and you end up being in a situation where, and by the way, over Jabari Smith, and you end up being in a situation where you have one of the best defensive players in the league, and you have this big 3 for the future, and all these picks, and now the Dorts and the Carusos are going to get moved, and Casey Wallace's and A.J. Mitchell's are going to move up. and guys you draft are going to go into those roles. And now it's a system that just keeps feeding itself. And so because you're going to re-up yourself on some first-rounders, trading guys like Dort and Caruso have that kind of value. So they use tanking to create a system now that works for them in this second apron era. So, yes, but it can work, and we've seen it work. And that's where kind of the problem comes in. And listen, I know people were somewhat alarmed last year that Dallas, who was a playing team, ends up with the number 1 overall pick. I think it's great. I think it's great because it shows you can try to tank to increase your chances. There's no guarantee that tanking is absolutely going to work. And again, I've flattened the lottery odds, and I do think something just has to be done regarding pick protections. I don't know how you do that because any arbitrary line that you leave, maybe you can't protect one outside the top 5. Okay, so it's a top 5. It's top 5 essentially you can protect. You can't protect beyond that. Like the league can certainly put some restrictions on that and make you where you don't have protections on straddling the line between being in the playoffs and out of the playoffs. Now again, would that have solved the Philly problem last year? It would not have. Would it have solved the Dallas problem from a couple of years back? It would have. So I think my point is this: I just don't know that there's a magic bullet, but I think you do have to start to put some rules in place here that are going to make it that much harder to tank.
How are you handling this winter?
Oh, it's cold. I never even want to complain about cold. It is cold, man. It is cold day in and day out. It's a pain in the ass. Some part of my French. You know what I mean? It's and I hate wearing a heavy jacket every single day, and I got to wear the heavy jacket every single day. And you know what? You guys know, the older you get, the colder you get. So, yeah, I'm not – the last couple of winters have been fine, haven't bothered me this winter. And the thing is, it feels endless. I mean, this stupid groundhog saw his damn shadow yesterday. I got 6 more weeks of this nonsense. I mean, come on. I am ready to be out on the golf course, boys. I got to tell you.
Yeah, but the Yankees and the Mets and the Phillies and the Red Sox are all going to sell a lot of tickets off this cold. Maybe even the Orioles and the Nationals, too.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun. Listen, baseball season would be fun around here. I'm a big Met guy. Mets redid their team. Yankees didn't do anything to get better. And Brian Cashman wants to tell all their fans that they are better. I don't know what he bases that on. But at least I got something different to look at with the Mets. New pitcher in there, a couple new hitters. They kind of changed the mix. So, listen, we'll see how all that plays out. And, again, baseball will be fun this year. Red Sox should be better also. Anybody that can go out there and have a legit chance to beat the Yankees, they're in my corner.
When I was a kid growing up in Parsippany, I would in March, man. You're right. The winter just lasts forever, and I got family, tons of family back there, so I know this one has been even worse than usual. But I'd get off that bus, man, on Beverick Road off of 46, and I would sprint home to watch. I had this little black and white TV, and both my parents worked. I'd be by myself. I'd sprint from the bus stop home to Tioga Avenue in Lake Hiawatha and catch the last couple innings of the Mets on, what was it? I think it was on WOR Channel 9 because they do the spring training games, some of them. And I would look on Sunday, the Star-Ledger, get the paper to see which games are going to be on. And then I would just sit there and thinking, oh, look at Florida. That must be awesome. That must be paradise. And we're only a couple of weeks away from the season starting. We're finally going to get spring. And every time, man, I just couldn't wait. So I was feeling your pain there these last few weeks. I got it on my phone. I always keep Parsippany on my phone for the weather. And I see the high is 17. I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, that's just awful. Brutal.
But it's funny you're talking about that because you talk about Beverwick Road and Tioga Lane. I drive through there all the time because I play golf at the Knoll Country Club.
Oh, of course,
so that's my course. So I'm in that area all the time coming through there when the weather's gorgeous. I'll actually be driving through there a lot with air conditioning cranking on me because I just played 18 holes in 95-degree heat. So, it's, so there's a little bit of an irony with you naming those roads where really, that's my summer neck of the woods.
Yeah, it was right down the street from where I grew up.
Brian, always good to have you on. We appreciate the time. Thanks for talking NBA with you. We'll bother you a little later in the season.
Bother me whenever you want, guys. Right. It's always my pleasure. I'll talk to you both soon. Take care.
Brian Geltzeiler, SiriusXM NBA Radio. Coming up, Mike Folta, Utah Mammoth radio voice, joins us in about 15 minutes. Hat trick for Nick Schmaltz and a win. One more game before the Olympic break. We'll talk with Mike. Coming up in 15 minutes right here on The Zone.
This is JJ and Alex.
I got this.
I'm starting to buy into the young group showing progress, slowly but surely, churning its way up the tracks to a superstardom maybe in the future.
How about Ace Bailey's last 10 games? You want to see the numbers? 15 points per game, 4.4 rebounds. He's shooting 34% from three. As a rookie, I'll take that. Yeah. It's going to get better. I talked to Will Hardy, and he talked about what they're doing is trying to get Ace to do a lot of the other things because they know he's an offensive juggernaut. They're working on a lot of other things, and maybe that plus some games he's missed kept him out of the Rising Stars, which how do you not have Ace Bailey in that game? Have you not seen the dunks? Have you not seen the production? Why do you not put Ace Bailey in that Rising Stars? It's a stars competition. These are the best players. So when you have a Rising Stars, your best young players need to be in that game. It's a joke. He's phenomenal.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Brought to you in part by RGS Exteriors. Join Scotty G Thursday, noon to 3 at RGS Exteriors, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. PK, question of the morning. We've been debating this on and off all morning long. The trade deadline on Thursday, should the Jazz make any moves? I don't think you heard anything from Brian Geltzeiler there that would change your mind, but maybe you did. He seems a little skeptical that anything that's going to happen right now will change the championship race based on who's moving and what you have to give up.
I don't think so.
Right.
You asked hypothetically. I gave you a hypothetical.
Yep.
If Antetokounmpo went to Boston, but I don't see it happening. Hypothetically speaking. But that's the reality of it, which proves even more that losing games is the best route. Because building your goals, reaching your goals and building that title contending team is done through the draft primarily.
And look at the teams with the best records right now. Detroit, San Antonio, Oklahoma City all went through prolonged periods of losing and acquired a lot of young talent in the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, you can accent it with other moves, but at the core...
You have to.
Right. At the core, though, you have got to hit on good players in the draft, regardless of where you're drafting. And mostly we saw these teams in the Pistons and the Thunder and the Spurs drafting in really good spots.
I just wish that that same GM in Dallas was there so the Jazz can give him Nurkic and Markkanen for a flag.
There it is. Let's go.
But he's gone.
Yep. Nico is done.
Yes. And so that trade they made just about 53 weeks ago now for Doncic, like, huh? So maybe you can do that, but that seems so rare to be able to expect to accomplish anything that way. The best you can do is use your money wisely and bring in some complimentary guys. But the Stars they're going to be most likely acquired through the draft.
Even if you hit on that kind of trade, though, look at what it does for the Lakers. And they have not drafted particularly well, and they are sitting with the 9th, 10th best record in the league, something like that. Changes every couple of days, but that's about where they sit.
Yeah, but I don't know that they've drafted high enough to draft well.
It has been a problem.
Yeah.
With LeBron there, they haven't been really bad. They had a period where they were in the lottery 5 or 6 years in a row. 6 or 7,
most
actually.
of the time, those players are going to... You're playing the odds.
Yeah.
And it's all at the top. I like what Geltzeiler's talking about flattening the odds, though. We've got to do something. Even though I support the tanking, I'm against it on the premise.
DJ and PK, when we come back, Mike Folta, radio voice of the Utah Mammoth, joins us. A big win, a hat trick. We'll talk with him about that and look ahead to the Red Wings next. Stay with us.
Here comes Schmaltz with McBain and Marino. Back for Marino. In front, tapped in, and they score! Special delivery from John Marino to Nick Schmaltz. Schmaltz in front, shoots and scores again. Nick Schmaltz has 2 tonight. Oh, you're killing me, Schmaltz. Utah numbers ahead. Keller and Schmaltz. Schmaltz shoots and scores! Another Hattie for Nick Schmaltz. Send him!
DJ PK, and we are joined once again by Mike Folta, Utah Mammoth radio voice, brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. Hercules First Federal Credit Union, bringing all the Mammoth interviews here on the Zone. So, Schmaltzy's got it out for you, Mike. That's what I took out of that. He had you yelling all night long. You could lose your voice. He's dangerous.
Oh, guys, good morning. I'm coming to you a little hoarse this morning.
I thought so.
All puffy. Just woke up. Looked like I got run over by PK's personalized custom golf cart. But hey, all is well that ends well. It was a big win for the Mammoth last night against a Vancouver team. It's last place in the NHL, but you win 6-2. You do what on paper you're supposed to do, and that's take care of business at home. And Nick Schmaltz with his second hat trick of the year. It's crazy. Last year, he went the first 23 games of the season without scoring a goal, and he still finished with 20 goals. This year, he got off to a great start. He's playing the best hockey of his career, now 10 years into his NHL career, and he's one goal away from a career high still with 25 games left in the regular season, and he has elevated this team with his play. In a contract year, no less.
Of course, Mike. That's the key. That's my question to you. Don't we see this throughout sports? Guys are free agents, and they end up with their best year. We used to have Joe Ingles on every week for 8 years. He gets his contract year. All of a sudden, he's shooting 45% from three. And I tried to tell him, well, yeah, because you got money. Oh, no. Come on, man. This is an old story, isn't it?
I guess. But, hey, it's easy to say that and I just expect a guy to be great, but the fact of the matter is Utah has needed Nick Schmaltz to play like this because the team has been without Logan Cooley, who's your most dynamic centerman, and there have been times when some of the scoring around Schmaltz has dried up a little bit, but he's been consistent. He's been excellent defensively. Like, I'm talking about his offensive numbers. He's been excellent in the defensive zone. We have discussed on this show about how Schmaltz has moved over from wing to center, how that's a lot more defensive responsibility. It's what's a good comparison? Maybe football's not the best comparison, but it's like moving from slot receiver to like that true X receiver, right? Like now all of a sudden you're the true number one. Well, now a center has a lot more responsibility on both ends of the ice. It's a harder position to play. And Schmaltz has stepped into that role, and his numbers have been even better in that role. And he's really helped out Clayton Keller and the guys around him. So got to give him a ton of credit. And Utah's needed him to step up in the way that he has. Hat trick last night. He's got 2 on the year. Guys, I had some friends at the game last night. They have now been to 2 games this year. Nick Schmaltz has had a hat trick in both of them. How about that?
Well, nice. You better get him some more tickets.
better get him a Nick Schmaltz jersey.
Right. Signed. When you look at this team as far as Schmaltz doing what he's doing, and that's great, the other night, and I realized it was in a losing effort, but how about Yamamoto? Seems like he's coming on a bit. Oh
my gosh. Yeah, he had 5 goals over the last 5 games, 2 goals in back-to-back games. He's the smallest guy on the ice, but he wins every battle. Like he plays with incredible skill and incredible hockey IQ. And he was a really high draft pick a few years ago back in Edmonton. He spent multiple years in Edmonton, didn't really pan out with the Oilers, even though he got to play with guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, some of the top end players in the world. He never stuck long term. Guys, last year, Yamamoto basically had to fight his way into a contract. Right. He played really well in the preseason a year ago, and he didn't have a contract until basically the start of the year. And because he played well in the preseason, the Utah management staff was like, all right, yeah, you can be a depth piece for us. He played in 12 games all of last year, had 2 goals in 12 games, was mostly in the AHL, played in the minor leagues for the first time in 5 or 6 years for him. So it was, I think if you'd ask him, a bit of a reset for him last year, maybe a little humbling. But it helped get his confidence back a little bit because he was playing a big role in the minor leagues. Well, coming this year, he now all of a sudden has 9 goals, and he's still been in and out of the lineup a little bit, but he's playing way more consistently. And he's played and produced to a point where he's forcing Andre Tourigny to keep him in the lineup because he can play with those high-end guys. You can just plug him in with guys like Keller and Schmaltz, like Utah did in the last road trip after Krause was out due to illness. He can play with J.J. Peterka and Barrett Hayton like he has the last couple nights. He finds the soft pockets of the ice. He gets himself open. And like I said, even though he's the smallest guy on the ice, he wins a ton of battles. And a great run for him, even though the Mammoth lost both games where he had 2 goals. His production has kind of helped keep Utah afloat offensively in times where maybe the top guys aren't scoring.
And
but,
don't forget, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
This town is used to great play from guys from Spokane, Washington.
Oh, no. Is it Stockton?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You can't say Spokane to a sports fan here. Yeah, without thinking Stockton. It's automatic. We all know it. Baked into us.
That's a good call. Yeah, Spokane's own. Yep, he played in the WHL. Played a little bit in Idaho as a kid, too. So we can basically claim him, right, as like a guy from the western U.S. We don't have a ton of those in the NHL.
That's Spokane to Salt Lake pipeline.
That's right. Keep it rolling, baby. Open that valve. No, but Yamamoto's been great. He's a humble guy and easy guy to root for and a fun guy to watch.
I am built so that I can scoreboard watch and look at the standings by the time we're a quarter of the way into the season. And even in the first quarter, I find a way to do it. It drives PK nuts. At what point do NHL coaches and players start scoreboard watching? Because there's 6 teams separated by 4 points, and 3 of them aren't going to the playoffs, and 3 of them will get in. So at what point, because they can drive themselves crazy too. You can waste a lot of energy on that kind of stuff. Leave it to somebody like me. I don't have to go out there and skate.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, there's all these different deadlines on the NHL schedule where we have these statistics. The first one that I think of is Thanksgiving, where there's kind of this rule, like, I think it's 70% of the teams that are in playoff positions by American Thanksgiving are going to be in the playoffs at the end of the season. And so that's like not even a quarter of the way into the year, right? And we're talking about like, oh, well, we better be in a playoff spot by Thanksgiving. And then Christmas rolls around and there's another statistic. And then, here comes Valentine's Day and the Olympic break and it's another statistic. So honestly, I think everybody's watching all year, guys. Like they'll tell you that they're not worried about the standings, but I think everybody watches the standings and looks at the leaderboards every single night. And, I've been a part of teams and even a part of this team where, maybe you lose a bad game late or you lose in overtime. But it's a crushing loss in October. And you're sitting there thinking like, maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point that keeps us from getting in the playoffs. And like someone is saying that. Inevitably, someone is saying that. So they'll tell you they don't watch every night, but I call bull on that. I think everybody watches every night. And honestly, guys, like you've had to this year because seriously, like it sounds cliche. Oh, the standings, it's a tight race. It is an unbelievably tight race. The Mammoths just had their best calendar month ever in January with 10 wins, and they still are in a dogfight for a wild card spot. And so there's some separation in the division where the top 3 teams are pretty much set in the Central Division, and the Mammoth are that 4th team that there's a pretty big chasm between where Utah is and where the next 3 are. But fighting for that wild card spot, it's like a 5 or 6 team race where everybody is winning in that group, and it's going to come down to the wire. Even though Utah is playing well, you can't rest for 1 second because LA and Seattle and even San Jose now, they were one of the worst teams in the league. Now they're fighting for a wild card. They're right there. So it's imperative the Mammoth keep winning.
We know in the NBA All-Star break that guys like to go where it's warm and they get about a week to do what they want and get back into town. Well, here with this huge break, I would imagine some of them would have a form of vacation, but you can't vacation for 3 weeks. Do you know what their plan is?
Watch me.
You can, but I'm talking about them.
A lot of guys will get away. Yeah, a lot of guys will get away for at least a week. Utah has some injuries, some guys that have been banged up. Logan Cooley is a big one. Alexander Kerfoot, he's been hurt recently as well. Those guys will be trying to come back during the break. And so, like, the trainers and the staff, like, they get a little bit of break too, but it's only about a week, and then they got to, come back and get guys back up and running, because you want to hit the ground running when you come back from break,
have
right?
to, man.
Well, exactly. We're just talking about the standings. You have to. The Mammoth have some really tough games against Colorado and Minnesota coming up after the break. So it'll be about a week for these guys. It's a 3-week Olympic break. I think I'll be I'll take about a 3.5 week break for me.
You're gonna come back with heavy legs. Clayton Keller can't. He's gonna be at the Olympics.
Just come back. I worry about Mike having free time, the ability to actually come back. I'm more concerned about him returning, literally.
Everybody knows UC Santa Barbara's a party school, but Purdue's underrated from what I've heard.
Oh, yeah.
I'm worried about you.
Well, when the freshman orientation is, guys, it's when you're at Purdue, but the whole behavior is Purdon't.
Hey. We had a big win against an 8-12 Maryland team on Sunday, so we're on the climb back. I mean, with Purdue, God, like, Indiana winning a national championship, Purdue loses to Indiana in basketball a week later. Like, I have nothing, right? I have nothing as far as my collegiate fandom. I'm living vicariously through Utah State, my Aggies.
There you go.
But they lost a couple games too. So.
They did, but then bounced back. Big game against New Mexico coming up.
Oh yeah, the Pit's legendary. It'll be crazy. There's a guy. What is he? The swamp rat or the sewer rat? What's that?
Sewer rat.
The sewer rat. Yeah. There's a fan there. You gotta see him to believe him. And Steve Cleveland, the BYU story, actually ended up befriending the guy. It's a heck of a story. Have you ever have a chance to watch?
Him some raw meat.
Yeah, have you have a chance to watch Utah
Is this
State?
New Mexico?
It's a New Mexico fan.
Yeah.
Snake is another nickname for the guy. He's all tatted up. He'll be there in a tank top. He's a short dude, and he screams his head off. Screams his head off during games. Just goes nuts. Everyone knows.
I'm gonna keep my Utah State fandom to the spec, probably. So I don't think I'm going on any Aggie road games.
You did have a nice little Sandlot reference when Schmaltz. You're killing me, Schmaltz, which is obviously Smalls. You are somewhat new to the area. You do realize that Sandlot was filmed in our area, right?
I was told this. That was not on my mind as I called the goal, but I was told this. Where was it filmed?
There's a diamond in Rose Park.
Yeah.
There were a couple scenic.
My home golf course.
Right. There were a couple scenic cutaways
down by Murray,
where
Old
there's
Town?
one that was taken from like the east bench looking west, and you can see the smokestack at the end of the Okers at Kennecott. I mean, it's totally obvious. If you watch the movie and wait for the smokestack, you will 100% see it. Yeah, it was like, well, obviously they're in Utah. Yeah, the Murray Pool was used. Yeah. There were multiple locations. If you go online, you can see all those things are online now if you want to find out where stuff was shot. Just type in locations for whatever movie.
Sandlot is on an extremely short list of movies that it is acceptable to watch on the 4th of July. I don't think you should be watching movies on the 4th of July, but if for some reason you are in front of a TV screen on the 4th of July, it's Sandlot, Independence Day, and that might be it. I'm not sure what else.
Well, always, of course, you're realizing that every day of the year, multiple times, you can watch Godfather 1 and Godfather 2 because that's the ultimate family movie.
Well, that's always on Thanksgiving. That always
should always be on.
It's always on Thanksgiving.
Just always on.
Which one's the bad one? Which one's the one you're
the
not
third one? The third one now. The third one doesn't measure up to the first two.
It's 1 and 2.
Yeah, one and 2 are Oscar winners. I mean, they're classics. So, I got to ask you about the Olympics here because there's all this noise about, well, is the rink going to be done in Milan? And then it's like, well, we're only going to send the NHL players, and the Mammoths sending 4, right, for 4 different countries. If the ice quality is up to a certain standard, and I'm thinking, there's a lot of money on the line. They've stopped the schedule one way or another. How can they not make ice? I mean, this is going to happen, isn't it? This is all just drama leading up to it.
It is. We're going to play the games, and it's going to be awesome. And we're going to watch Team USA, play Canada, Sweden, like all these teams, and we're going to love every second of it. And the players are going to make it incredible, right? Like we had the outdoor game in Tampa a couple days ago where the Lightning came all the way back to win 6-5 in overtime. And the goalies fought, and the players had awesome costumes upon their entrance to the stadium. Like that event was awesome because the players made it awesome, regardless of all the extra stuff on the outside. The Olympics coming up in Milan, there's been a lot of noise about the arena not being finished. And from what it sounds like, it's not going to be finished by the time we play. And when I say that, I mean, it's not going to be to the standard that we were hoping and expecting. And, when we go around the league to different teams, there's a certain standard that NHL players are used to. When you walk into the locker room, the type of access you have throughout the arena and things like that. It sounds like that's not going to be up to an NHL standard in Milan. Again, I'm not there on the ground. This is just what I'm hearing from people who are there. But they have the important stuff is going to get done. The important stuff either is done or is going to get done. And that's, the ice surface itself and, the boards, like the hockey infrastructure. Most of the seats are done. It sounds like they had to bring in some kind of temporary seats as well. I was talking with Sam Farnsworth over at Channel 2.
Channel 5.
Channel 5, excuse me. Yes, thank you. And he was telling me, he was filling me in a little bit on the backstory. He's got boots on the ground in Milan.
Yeah.
But the important stuff is done. The players are going to make it awesome. But I wouldn't be surprised if you keep seeing pictures and videos over the next couple of days of incomplete sections of that hockey arena in Milan, which is really unfortunate because we all know they only had, a couple years to get this done.
Dope it out for us as far as who you think are the favorites. Obviously, with the NHL players playing for the first time in 12 years, you should have a pretty good idea of the rosters.
Yeah, I mean, we know that the U.S. and Canada are going to be really good. No Russia in the Olympics. I think we know that. There's so many good Russian players. You think of Mikhail Sergachev for the Mammoth. So there's a little bit of an asterisk next to this, next to any best on best tournament when you don't have Russia involved. But U.S. Canada are going to be up there. Sweden has an unbelievable team. Sweden is going to be legit. Finland always overachieves in these tournaments. Last time we played best on best Olympics, Olli Mata was part of Team Finland, and they beat Patrick Kane and the Americans like 5-1 to win a bronze medal. And the U.S. got fourth that year. So Finland always overachieves. They'll be very good. Team Czechia will have Karel Vejmelka. We know Veggie's ability to steal a game as a goaltender. They'll be a very tough out as well. Those are kind of the four teams. Those were the four teams we had no, they weren't the four teams. Czechia was not part of the four nations, but those are the five teams: U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland, and Czechia that I think have the best chances to medal. U.S. going to have a really good team. Going to have a team that's really good on defense, really good goalie. Those are probably the advantages that the Americans have. Up front, Canada's better because you have guys like Crosby, McDavid, and McKinnon. So it's gonna be a great matchup when U.S. and Canada meet.
Mike, we'll leave it right there. One more game, and then you can put your feet up for 3 weeks.
Oh, who said I'm not already kicking back?
Well, you are, actually.
I'm my lazy boy here, just kind of getting used to it.
All right. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Mike Folta, he's the radio voice of the Utah Mammoth. They got the Red Wings coming up tomorrow night. DJ and PK, we're back with everything you missed in this show next.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Slackeretta headlines are brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. We're giving away Jazz tickets all day long. It's Utah Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Every hour on the half hour. 9:30 tickets. Time to give them away right now. 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. You win a pair of tickets to see the Jazz and the Kings February 11th at the Delta Center. That'll be a battle of two of the bottom teams in the West. Right now, two of the bottom three teams in the West, along with the Pelicans. Can't imagine that'll change between now and then.
Yeah, but if they played in college, they'd win the title.
See?
Look at it that way.
Okay.
The best college team out there. Why'd you be so negative?
Jazz and Pacers, two of the bottom six teams in the NBA, playing tonight. Dangerous. Could be some W's here before the All-Star break, PK. Be very careful.
Yeah, they got to limit them.
Everybody else seems to be pulling away. Memphis just picked up a win. They're on 19 wins. Dallas is on 19. Look at Charlotte with seven straight wins now. Seven in a row. They're at 23. They have pulled over the horizon. Really, it's the Bucks you got to look at. If they move Giannis for a bunch of draft picks, they're only on 18 wins.
Right.
No, they could drop into the group.
Well, I would look at him either way. If they don't move him, he's probably just going to be disinterested.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it is contingent upon a trade.
Yeah, they're 4 games out of even a play-in spot, so they're a long way away. Yeah. I could see him shutting it down, and if he doesn't get traded. Don't get hurt, stay healthy for the offseason, and get traded in the offseason, improve their draft position. I can see where both he and the Bucks could agree on that. If he doesn't get traded, and then he's sitting and not playing, and they're terrible.
My guess is he doesn't.
Doesn't what?
Get traded.
Yep. Been a lot of rumors, a lot of smoke, but no fire yet.
Yeah, I think it's clear. If he can't get his preference to come to Utah, he doesn't want to move yet. He'll wait for the summer.
I think this is where you start playing radio, right here. Minnesota, Golden State, New York. There've been a lot of speculation about a lot of teams.
Yeah, and there was no speculation to Doncic to the Lakers, and voila.
The Heat, that's true. The Heat and the Clippers have been mentioned, but now the Clippers and James Harden agreeing to make a deal with Harden thought to be probably headed toward Cleveland. Harden doesn't want to be there if there's going to be a long-term suspension for Kawhi Leonard because they circumvented the salary cap. If that's the expectation, if you're into trying to figure out the whys behind this.
Well, I think he has a clause on the trade, and there's some talk that they asked him to waive it, and he said, well, sign me to a long-term extension. And they said no, and he said, well, then trade me.
There it is.
And he's moved around enough now.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
He's a Houston Rocket, but since then, I can't even keep track. Philly, Brooklyn, Clippers. Who am I leaving out? I feel like I'm missing somebody.
Well, obviously it was Oklahoma City before that.
Yeah, early on, you're right.
So you just make the move. And I think that Cleveland kind of feels like, well, we're just back in the same situation that the Jazz were in.
Yes. Back in the middle.
Yeah.
What I have referred to as the cul-de-sac.
We're good.
But we're not good enough.
No.
No.
And that's going to dog Mitchell.
Yeah.
Somewhat unfairly. But you can argue unfairness and fairness, and that just goes with it. And, you know, once you did what you did, and you didn't whine your way out of Utah, but you forced your way, and then you had some comments that it was so draining and blah, 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 blah. Okay. And you put up good numbers and you're an all-star, but that's it.
But it hasn't translated to the playoffs.
No, not enough. Not well enough. You'll get there.
It is really hard to ask a guy his size to be the best player on a championship caliber team, whether you're the champion or not. And he hasn't been to a conference final yet.
I think it's his ability, too.
Yeah. If you got Steph Curry's ability, you can pull it off. But that's a lot of ability.
Thomas did it.
Yeah.
Nash was better, got him more advanced.
Yeah.
I think they would have won a title.
It's a very short list of guys under 6'6". Nash was a 2-time MVP.
But they feel like they've got to do something because they're not going to go anywhere. And it's just going to be the same thing, rinse and repeat.
Right. Yeah, there's 5 teams in the East separated by very little, and they're all chasing the Pistons. And at least the Celtics have hopes because they're doing it without either, depending on how you look at it, either their best player or one of their 2 best players.
Their
The best player.
Yeah. Right. I mean, but
so
they're still competitive. That's good.
Yeah, right. They've just dropped back 1 tier without Tatum. When they get him back, we all assume, I do anyway, that they'll move back to the top tier.
I would think so, especially in that conference.
Whereas the Knicks, the Raptors, the Cavs, the Sixers, maybe even the Heat are all trying to figure out, okay, how do we take the next step? We're good. We're over 500. We're winning. And in most cases, we're playing 600 ball. But how do you take the next step?
It's so freaking hard.
It is.
Because I don't think that you can moneyball your way in the NBA.
It is really hard. And if you do, you do it with a good player on a rookie contract who develops very quickly. And so you got to cash in while they're on the rookie deal. It's like that NFL quarterback. Can you hit on someone who's young enough? You know, Drake May's on a rookie deal. Now you can spend money on the rest of the team.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That sounds good, but Darnold isn't young enough.
He is not.
What?
Now he's not on a $50 million deal either.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't need that. That's the whole point. You don't need a $50 million quarterback.
I think it gets to the point, which is what Brian Geltzeiler, and go listen to him wherever you get your podcasts, like the $50 million player in the NBA, people are like, whoa, wait a minute. He can make us good, but then we can't do anything else, and now we're boxed in. We got to be careful with these $50 million guys.
Yeah, your best player does not deserve that. All best players aren't created equally.
Right.
But yet the system forces them to re-up these guys, and they're not good enough. They're okay, but they're not good enough. And Mitchell is good, but he's not good enough.
No, you're paying very good players like they're great.
I've got no problem with Donovan Mitchell as a ball player, but he simply is not good enough. Shaq took some heat for doing that, and I mean, it was after a game which they won. It was a little awkward.
It was super awkward, but he wasn't. The timing was brutal, but he wasn't wrong in his take. You know,
and that's no knock against Donovan Mitchell.
No, because what you're judging is, are you one of the top 2 or 3 players in the game who can win a championship?
And he's not.
No.
But make him your third option. His stats will go down.
Maybe even your second option.
But the winning would go up.
Yeah. He could even be the second option if he's one of the top 2 or 3 players in the game. Now, he wouldn't have the ball as much. And then, if he's in Denver with Jokic, who's one of the top 2 or 3 players in the game. The thing is, Donovan tends to be a little on the ball dominant side.
He is.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, the ball has to go to Jokic.
The ball has been in his hands probably since he was 10.
Yeah.
Because he's probably the best player on his team growing up.
Yeah.
But there's a cap there. I would slot him at third.
As a third?
Yeah. I mean, certainly he's a very good NBA player, and he's going to be rich beyond his wildest dreams, and so he can send his kids to the same private school that he went to, private schools, and boarding schools and all that, and good for him. Way to go. That's awesome. But that's the reality of it, that, how do you get that? It's just so dang hard. There's so few of them. And can you get your hands on one? And to tie it in, probably not, just statistically. But if you're going to do it, it's most likely going to be through the draft.
San Antonio got their guy in the draft. Denver got their guy in the draft. Oklahoma City did trade for their guy. Detroit got their best player in the draft.
I think what you can do is draft well and be a competitive team.
Can you get to a conference final? Get in the mix?
Booker was 13th, I think, right around there.
They drafted well.
Yeah.
A very good pick.
Yeah.
Best player on the board when he was drafted.
So you can be competitive.
They're 30-20. They're 10 games over 500. They're playing 600 ball.
And a couple years back, they did get to the final.
They did.
And then they go and make a bunch of moves that were wrong.
Did not work. Did not come close to working.
So
the chemistry culture stuff gets overrated, but it does matter. The difference between the Suns this year and last year, a few players, attitude in the locker room, who has the ball.
Well, Durant views himself as a scapegoat. Everybody wants to play victim.
Yeah.
I mean, the world is full of victims. We hear it every day. But the fact is that maybe he wasn't the only reason, but nevertheless, they got rid of him and Bradley Beal. And now at least there's hope.
Yeah.
There was no hope. There was no hope of the sun rising.
There was not.
Or the sun's rising. Now, at least they got a little hope. But now we'll see what they do. Great. You got a little hope now.
Yeah.
But what do? Do you panic and start making a bunch of moves that suck and make it worse? or do you make it better? How do you do that? And that's the charge for the Jazz. They know the charge as well as anyone. And how's it going to be when we get to 2030 and look back? How's it going to be? Is it going to be? It will be better, but will it be great?
Trade deadline is Thursday, so we wait on Giannis and the Bucks. Knicks, Heat, Timberwolves, Warriors, what's going to happen? And Harden, we'll see if it's a Clippers-Cavs deal. Or, like you say, is there a surprise deal? Because, man, that Laker-Maverick thing came out of the middle of nowhere.
I fell off the chair.
Utah Mammoth, 6-2 over Vancouver. Mike Folta, always great. He was on with us in the last segment. If you missed that interview, wherever you get your podcast, find Mike Folta with us and Brian Geltzeiler on the Jazz and the NBA trade deadline. And they're available wherever, KSLSports.com, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, whatever. When we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us. DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for your feedback. What do you think of today's show? All the questions we have asked. What can BYU do to avoid another bad first half of basketball? U-State Iceman, it's easy. Transfer to a different school and then sing hallelujah as you leave BYU. Oh, see, look at the Aggies getting their shots in. The Utes get their shots in. Spend another $7 million on a first-round draft pick. Never deny the talent, but I expect they're going to have more juniors and seniors in the rotation next year and make this team older. Now you got to make them better. Still comes down to talent, too.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and do you want to go where you have a little chance to play? I think they're always, at least for the foreseeable future with Kevin Young there, going to be on the younger side and have draft picks. Would you rather have draft picks or 23-year-olds? Now, if you can get a Walt Clayton Jr., we got both.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, and we saw what happened.
Which is the goal, right?
If it works out that way. I don't know if it's the goal.
They're definitely going to look for depth.
No question.
Without question. I mean, that one's hitting everybody over the head right now.
Which should be more experienced guys.
Right.
Yeah. And cheaper guys.
Will they start encouraging local guys to go to local schools and transfer back to BYU? Whether it's UVU down the road or they're going to have 3 Big Sky schools in state with realignment next year.
Well, there's a player, Welling at corner. He went to corner and then went to UVU. Mm-hmm. I think he went to Irvine first. And where is he now? He played Clemson. He could help this team, man. But, I mean, how much money you got? And is Clemson going to bid more?
See, how hard is depth to put together? Like, right. You've got the money to outbid people for the top players, but then do you still have money to outbid people? Because they're saying, hey, we'll give you the same money and you'll be, 1, 2, or 3 in FGAs instead of 6, 7, or 8.
Right.
Yeah. It's a strong argument.
Yeah.
It's going to carry the day.
Right.
Jill heard Mike Folta talking about 4th of July movies and what's acceptable, and she says Jaws on the 4th of July.
Jaws?
Jaws.
Man,
school.
I can't watch Jaws. I don't be too scared to go in the water. Well, how about, wasn't there a movie Born on the 4th of July?
Yeah, Tom Cruise. He's a veteran.
Sort of a dark movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, see Jaws, people are getting eaten alive. So, I don't know how you find that. Not
well,
exactly
it is
a laugh
the beach,
a minute.
obviously, July 4th.
Yeah, sure. You're
July 4th is simply the most underrated holiday of all holidays.
What's second?
July 4th.
Second and third.
July 3rd. July 5th. July 4th is an awesome holiday. I look forward to it every year.
I do too. The height of summer, great weather.
Yeah.
Fireworks, short sleeves.
Who don't like fireworks?
Yeah, now you're talking.
Yeah. Hot dogs? Well,
now
wait a
you're
second.
talking.
Can you eat hot dogs?
Sodium, not right now. Gotta.
Gonna be
it's
a
July
long
4th.
summer.
What, you're not going to eat turkey on
By July 4th,
Thanksgiving?
I was just telling PK during the week for this whole soda weight loss thing.
Can you have a hamburger?
I've got a zone. Not yet.
What?
I've got a zone. No, it says bread, bun. No.
Well, you can have a hamburger without
you
bread.
can have
and
the
bun.
patty. You can have the patty.
Yeah, go
you can have the
protein
patty.
style, as they say.
Yeah, you have the patty. Yeah. Actually, I was just talking about that with the nutritionist last week about traveling. She's like, here are your options.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got a nutritionist now. The high and mighty.
Yeah. 866-800-SOTA. Get yourself a nutritionist.
Yeah,
Bonus plug, soda.
Big Macs, McDonald's, McDonald's.
It was about getting down, getting down to a
Whopper.
target weight.
WHOPPER.
Target zone. That's 2. I'll take 2. Uh-oh. DJ's got to go back on soda. He broke the rules.
Well, you got to live a little too, my man.
Do. Well, there's a target zone, not a target weight.
Like you lived a big life, and now you're paying for it a little bit. All right, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Just take care of yourself, big guy.
All right.
We need you back here next year.
You don't want to read some of these contest liners, huh?
No.
The player of the week with a name you may or may not be able to pronounce.
We didn't get this far with convoluted roles here.
I don't sing. You don't read the promos.
No.
There's our rules.
You bring us in and out. You set it up, and away we go.
There you go. And then you swing for the fences. Yeah. Or put a spit wad in the end of the straw and see if you can put one up there by the bus driver on the wall. Not that ever happened over there in
Sounds fun to me.
Bonita, California, as far as you know. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are all out of time. Jake and Ben are coming up next. More trade deadline talk, no doubt, right here on The Zone. And if you missed Mike Folta and Brian Geltzeiler, get them wherever you get your podcasts, KSLSports.com, YouTube, wherever. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.